This is the Son of the Law podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to the Son of the Law podcast. I'm your host, Jay Christopher. Joining me in my home today is Matt Wright. What's up, Matt?
Just a regular day.
Just a regular day.
That is the first time that I've listened to that intro music as it's supposed to be listened to.
That's right. You're normally listening to it in the car.
Yes.
Right? Well, but that's not what I think you meant. Like, what do you mean by that?
I have not listened to a podcast in one-time speed for years.
So you're a man that listens to a lot of podcasts.
I have a lot of windshield time.
Yeah.
And podcasts are a good way to spend the time. Also, you get to learn a lot. There's a lot of different subjects out there that I find interesting.
Mm-hmm. Who is in your top podcast playlist right now? Like, who do you enjoy listening to on the regular?
I enjoy the local stuff, like yours. I enjoy this is a tough one. Joe Rogan he puts out so many podcasts. I don't know how he does it, but I will selectively choose just by looking at the guest which ones I want to listen to, because some just don't sound that interesting for me.
I agree. Some of the comedian stuff, I mean, I know he kind of made his mark on the comedian world. It's kind of how he got started, but comedians and actors, I'm
more interested in, like, when he has a scientist on and they want to talk about how your brain functions. I find that interesting.
Yeah.
Sean Ryan show's become a big one in the last few years.
Certainly.
I like that one before he was even popular though. So, but then
those are long form ones too. So if you're talking windshield time, even at 1.5 speed or two times. Two times.
You never go less than 2 times speed.
I remember after I listened to Joe Rogan talk multiple times in like regular episodes, and then I played it at 2 times speed, and then it went back to 1 time speed. I was like, I can't believe how slow he talks.
Right. You're like, come on, spit it out, man. I got places to be.
Like, come on, let's go.
Yeah. Probably the newest one that I really like it's called the Cadre podcast.
Okay.
It's a group of shooting instructors. I think they're based out of Wyoming.
Okay.
I just had a happenstance run-in with one at a rifle competition last summer. I don't know what he was doing in Missouri, but he decided to compete in one of the Missouri matches. And he was in my group, and we got to talking, and I just thought he was a pretty cool guy, and asked him what he did. He said he was a hunting guide and long-range rifle instructor in Wyoming. And I'm like, well, I think we just became best friends.
I think we're best friends now, yeah.
But then, I looked up their company, and they have a podcast with just a few episodes out now. So
really?
I've enjoyed listening to them and kind of what their equipment they use and their mindset. And that's a good one. I
like that too. In the particularly around the podcast world, the things that you find interesting are available to you. It's long,
there's something for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. You can reach out to them, and like, the niche that you're talking about, like, I think it'd be difficult to having major program, experience, TV syndicated experience around that topic. But as inexpensive as it is to get into, you can talk about it, find people who are interested, and then you can grow a following much, much, much quicker.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Before we get started here, also want to thank our sponsors, Complete Auto Service in Richmond, Cutting Edge Landscapes in Lawson, and our newest sponsor, the Lawson Review. I am really enjoying the partnering relationships that I have with our sponsors, because it's given me an opportunity to consider the way I live my life and the way that they conduct their business, and marry the two here in this platform. So it's my privilege to partner with Complete Auto, Cutting Edge, and now the Lawson Review. This episode is brought to you by Complete Auto Service Center. I want to share something close to home, literally. If you're anywhere near Richmond, Missouri, and your vehicle needs attention, there's a place that embodies trust and integrity. Complete Auto Service Center. I've known Mark and Amanda for years, and they make me feel like I'm part of their family. From oil changes to engine replacements, brakes to transmissions, they handle it all with professionalism and care. Their certified techs use quality parts, and they stand behind their work with a 36-month, 36,000-mile warranty. But it's more than just repairs. It's about peace of mind. It's about knowing that your vehicle is in the hands of people who value honesty and excellence. So, if you're seeking a reliable partner for your automotive needs, visit CompleteASC.com or stop by 718 Woolard Boulevard. Let them earn your trust, your business, and your friendship. Complete Auto Service Center. Complete maintenance, complete repairs, complete peace of mind. Also want to thank you for supporting the show. As we say every week, you are why we do this and what this is all about. Merch is still available. You can message us for that on a Son of the Law podcast on Instagram, or shoot me a good old-fashioned Gmail, sonoftheLawpodcast@gmail.com. We have 3 styles of Richardson hats, and they are excellent. Ultra soft tees, size small to XXX, for those who are extra lovable. Matt, what size do you wear? Are you a medium or a large?
Shirt?
Yeah.
I'm in that weird I'm like an extra medium.
Okay. A medium would be what you would wear to impress
Most
the ladies.
clothing companies, a large fits me just fine.
Okay. Very good. You can share the show across all platforms: Spotify, Apple, YouTube, your favorite podcast player. And once again, the only way we're really growing right now is if you encourage people to follow the show, turn those notifications on so that you can be ready for that next episode. As a reminder, we drop every other Monday, 6 a.m., so that drive to work or never miss a Monday workout can be extra special. This episode is brought to you by Cutting Edge Landscapes. I've known Brandon Steffen, the owner of Cutting Edge Landscapes, for over 15 years. We've seen each other through a lot, climbed mountains together, served together, and when it came time to trust someone with my lawn, there was no question. I turned to Brandon and his team. Let me tell you, the difference after just one application was truly incredible. My yard went from weedy and full of dandelions to lush and vibrant. It was green, like really green. Also, I fought the bag system for years, never really seeing the results I wanted, but it has new life now, and that's all thanks to Cutting Edge. Cutting Edge isn't just about landscape projects either. They're about building relationships and treating your property like it's their own. Whether it's fertilization, aeration, or seasonal treatments, they tailor their services to what your lawn truly needs. With over 40 years in the business, Cutting Edge Landscape stands by their motto, "Your property is our passion." And after seeing the results firsthand, I can vouch for that. Visit callcuttingedge.com or 816-580-3343 to schedule your consultation. Your lawn will thank you. All right, back to Matt. Let me introduce you, Matt. You are a conundrum to me. As an introvert, and I put this down lower in the thing, but as an introvert, I often don't know how to respond to introverts because as an extrovert, I think people who are quiet don't like me. So for a while, as I get to know you, I'm like, well, this guy is so quiet. He must hate me. And then it doesn't take long to spend time with you to realize, wait, he doesn't actually hate me. He's just very friendly and contemplative, and he thinks and measures himself well before he speaks. So anyway, I'm glad to have you on the show.
I hope I can continue on this show to think before I speak.
Oh, I don't want you to. I want to release the hounds, man. That's actually been one of the promptings for having you on the show as well, right? As we've gotten to know one another, you have keen insight and you've deeply thought about things, and in my experience, you apply that well to your life, but also in a lot of times a humorous way, which doesn't take yourself too seriously, doesn't take the situation too seriously, and I think it's probably a pretty good asset for you in the job that you have. So anyway, glad to have you here. Other ways to introduce you. You were referenced on our Backcountry Bulls episode with Mr. Brett Morris. You hunted and packed out a large bull elk in the 2022, 3-year range?
23, I think.
And, Brett shares the story of him taking a big bull elk and going for your reaction. And you go, well, that's pretty cool. That was about it.
That's pretty accurate. I think he was took a pause when I wasn't quite as excited as he was. I just didn't show it.
That's right. That's the thing. And once you figure out that you don't hate me and you realize that's how, like, you're probably feeling it inside like crazy. You just don't show it, which is fun.
I have all the same physical reactions. I just don't have the outward appearance.
It's perfect. Okay. We would also know your wife, Lindsay, who was recently on our Learning Edgeventurers episode, as you all have considered discussing and applying homeschooling in your homeschooling journey to our house, your house. So how's that going?
That's good. She's awesome. She takes care of the large portion of that. I like to think of myself as a support role and just kind of a gopher and then encourage her, because I know that can get very difficult for her at times, but it's also very rewarding from that. She would tell you that too. I'm not making up stuff. She's loving it, I think. So. Right.
No, she did. And as we talked just about that journey and the process, and now the co-op program with the other girls. And I mean, it really is exciting to see another opportunity, another way to educate our kids. This program is very, very supportive of the Lawson School District. And I got my eyes opened to a new way to educate your kids, and it was inspiring. So very cool. You also, like we've talked about your neutral emotions, but you have a very dry wit about you, which I appreciate. A recent example was Sunday school. I was talking about my list that I have, and I don't have it written down, although I should write it down because I think it would make more sense to folks, of where marriages go to die. And one example of a marriage dying would be seen on like a boat ramp, or backing a camper into a camping spot. There's something about the communication that doesn't happen, that you literally watch the relationship fall apart in those few minutes. And maybe you should have been paying more attention, but you took that time to send me a meme, which said,
it was a photo. I think the wife was on a forklift and the husband was maybe on the roof of a house.
Yep.
It said, building a house with your spouse is just like building it by yourself, only harder.
That's right. And then later you followed up with, actually, we had a really good time building our house together. We worked together very well. And so
we seem to complement each other well. I realize that that's not true for every situation, but and it's not that way at the boat ramp or the camping spot either, but it is. I think we all enjoy a good laugh when you see a video of something like that happening.
Certainly. Okay. You are a man of integrity and vigilance. You love a good pun. You have a very unique perspective. And I really thought there's no better way to consider that than to review our text string.
Oh, boy.
From a long time ago. Okay, I say a long time ago. I'm just going to go back to say, let's see. I'm just scrolling right now. We'll see where we're at. Let's go back to June 20th, Friday, June 20th.
I've probably sent you more photos than I have text.
You have. Yeah. And then we had this little banter, dialogue or whatever. And I laugh and my wife sees me laughing at something because I don't usually spend a lot of time in those environments. And so she goes, "What?" And I said, "Matt, right." That's what. And so this one is a picture of a man. It's a video of how my diet is going, like day one without cookies. And then the next day he's wearing a new outfit, day one without cookies. And so it's like a 10-day journey of this man making it 1 or 2 days without having cookies. And then you sent me a picture of your pigs rolling in the mud. And I said, it looks tasty, like an earthly marinade. Then you sent me a Dr. Daniel Amen, the 11 risk factors associated with mental health. And a text that said, I found that they discussed in this episode fascinating. My quick summary: mental health is more than we realize, related to the physical health of the brain tissue. Here are a bunch of things that a bunch of things that are injuring your thinker and how you can help the organ heal. So like right out of the blue, after sending me these,
I'm not just a funny meme guy. I do contemplate from time to time.
I think all the time. That's the fun part, is that you never know what you're going to get. It's literally a box of chocolates. So anyway, there's plenty more where that came from. We'll leave it there. But anyway, I value your friendship and I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we can talk together.
This episode is brought to you by the Lawson Review. Since April 8th, 1881, one thing has never stopped in Lawson, Missouri: the local newspaper. From the very first printing of the Lawson Gazette to today's Lawson Review, this is the county's oldest newspaper with uninterrupted publication. Generations have lived it, written it, and read it week after week. The Lawson Review isn't just news. It's school events, local sports, city decisions, community voices, and the stories that may not make the big city headlines, but matter most right here at home. A subscription is just $29 for 1 year or $51 for 2 years. It's an affordable way to support local journalism and stay connected to your community. Contact the Lawson Review at lawsonreview@gmail.com. Visit at 405 North Pennsylvania, Lawson, Missouri, or call 816-296-3412. The Lawson Review, your hometown paper, yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Would you do us a favor and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about maybe where you were born and raised, your family. Well, although we've met Lindsay, you've got 5 awesome kids, how people might know you in the area, we'll go from there.
Well, I was born and grew up in Maysville, which is just north of Cameron. So not that far from here, 45 minutes maybe.
Okay.
I would consider myself home now, or I'm, still 45 minutes from my parents, but this is where we put down roots, and we're still close enough to them. We get to see them frequently. We're close enough to my in-laws that we get to see them frequently, and my kids get to know both sets of grandparents, which I love for them.
That's awesome.
Not always for me, but it's great that they get to grow up being close to them, because I didn't have that when I was a kid. Both sets of grandparents for me were probably at least 3 hours away.
Oh, really?
So I saw them on holidays and special occasions.
Yeah.
But, it's not that I wanted more. I think it's beneficial for our kids to have that.
Sure.
And it's always easy to find a babysitter, because I'm pretty sure the 2 grandmas would fight each other on who gets to babysit on a random Tuesday night.
So, who wins in a slap fight between the 2 grandmas?
That's a tough one.
Do you care to wager an opinion?
I'm not sure who would win 2 out of 3, but I think the first 2 would be split.
Okay. I appreciate the politically correct answer there. It'd come down to a nose. Very good. Born and raised in Maysville, living here now, still close to grandparents, grandkids. You got 5 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Mabel, Emmylou, Jonathan, William, and Caroline. You having any more?
No.
When they start asking you
if it's up to me, no.
They start asking if you're Amish or if you'd build them some furniture, then you've got.
Right. Yeah. There's always there's some lifestyle jokes in there, but doesn't bother us. We like having them.
Yeah.
We wouldn't give any of them back.
Absolutely not. That's awesome. How might people know you around here?
Well, I think people finally know my name.
Mm-hmm.
When I married into the Lawson community, when I married Lindsay in 2013, for at least the first 2 years, I was just known as Lindsay's husband.
Yeah.
We go to the same church that she grew up going to, so everybody knew her, and then I was just kind of the outsider, like, we'll see if this guy sticks around.
Been there. I was Carissa's.
then-
I was Carissa's husband or Carissa's boyfriend for a long time, and then husband.
After that, before I really had a chance to make a name for myself, then we started having kids. So instead of Lindsay's husband, then I just became Mabel's dad, which is fine. That's fine. I am perfectly content being in the shadows and just
hanging back,
not being out in the spotlight. I don't really appreciate that much, but I think people finally actually call me by name instead of Lindsay's husband or Mabel's dad now.
Do you ever have anybody give you a nickname? I don't think you're the type of person that normally gets nicknames. Has anybody ever nicknamed you?
I don't. Not that I recall.
Does your wife have a pet name for you that you're comfortable sharing?
No, neither of us really like those. I don't know.
It's just babe. No.
We don't even like that.
Really?
No, that puts a weird taste in my mouth. I can't say that.
So it's Matt and Lindsay.
Yes.
I like it.
I am very vanilla.
That's awesome. Is that your favorite ice cream?
Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Have you ever had the Blue Bell oatmeal cream pie ice cream?
No.
It is fantastic. It is hands down my number one favorite ice cream right now. I encourage you to try it. It will make it'll make an oatmeal cream pie ice cream fan out of it.
I would go to the store just to buy that and then have a little bit of confliction in the line and then go back and get vanilla because it's
just too much.
I'm stuck in a rut.
It's too much for you.
Why risk it?
So within the varietals of vanilla, there's vanilla bean, there's French vanilla, there's plain vanilla, there's like an Italian sweet cream type of thing. How do you choose between vanillas?
Well, I'm not picky there. I think it's all just a marketing ploy. I think they're all the same thing, just labeled individually.
We're already learning so much. Any other ties to small town living, or so? What's something that people wouldn't know about you or would be surprised to discover, other than the fact that you actually do have a name?
Well, I think they would be surprised to discover that that's not my name.
Oh, here we go. What is your name?
Well, it's not Matt.
What is it?
Do you know?
No.
You don't actually know what my first name is?
I think at one point you told me and I've forgotten it now. So.
And we've known each other how long?
6 or 8 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I was surprised when everybody in Maysville, K through 12, they knew me as Matt. Then I go to college, and on the roster for the class, it says Charles. So the instructor that I'd never met and that had never met me would be going down the list and say, I'd be mixed up in there somewhere. It's Charles here. And I'm looking around like,
who's Charles?
Yeah. Is he here? Am I sitting by him? Like, maybe we could be friends. I'm looking for friends. I'm new to college.
New to the area.
And then, a few seconds go by and I realize, oh, that's probably me. So
is it Charles Matthew?
No.
What is it? And how did you become Matt?
You would have to ask my mom for the exact specifics on that. But I think it had something to do with my name is Charles Madison.
Madison.
And it's a family name. So I'm like the fourth one in, 150 years. And I'm not sure why they decided to call me Matt, but
so
they
you're
couldn't.
Charles Madison Wright the fourth?
Yes, but not in a row.
Oh, okay. Dang.
My grandpa was Charles Madison as well.
Okay.
And then there were a couple others before him.
Did they call him Matt too?
They called him Madison.
Okay. Well.
So I also have that family history of, that was one thing Lindsay and I decided quickly when we started having kids was, I don't care what the name will be, but we are going to call them by their name.
That's their name.
We're not going to have this confusion.
Yeah. We've said for a while, my mom named me Jeremy James. And like when I was born, that was my name, Jeremy James. And then, so little JJ, right? And then right before we left the hospital, she looks at me and looks at everybody else and said, his name is not Jeremy. We're going to name him James. His name's James Christopher. And so naturally, they call me Chris from there on out. So that's where the J Christopher comes from on the podcast, which is super fun. All right, we've got to know you a little bit here. As you know, I like to rapid fire. We get to know you actually, and then we really dig in. First question, you can elaborate here if you like. How do introverts have fun?
Simple answer. We do all the same things you do, just by ourselves.
It's perfect. What is the secret to happiness?
I don't know.
I was going to say silence. I thought that's what you were going to say.
It does help.
Yeah.
I appreciate silence.
Well, yeah. So you don't know what the secret to happiness is. Are you happy? You seem like a happy guy.
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know that I've discovered a secret that would work for everyone.
Okay.
I think that where I'm at and the way that I handle things and the blessings that I have right now, how could I not be happy?
Yeah. That's a great answer. That's a great answer. What question do you have for my next guest?
I was trying to think of something serious, but then my wife said, I think you should just be silly like you always are. So the question would be, do penguins have knees? And the more you think about it, the more you're like, I really don't know.
I have no idea. I know they waddle quite a bit, and that's awkward to watch.
But they would probably have some similarities to other bird skeletons, which also have a joint there somewhere.
That's right. But if there is a joint there, the femur and the tibia and fibia would be very, very short. Which is... It's perfect. What was the last book you read?
It was The Pirate King by Graham Thomas.
Okay.
It was a biography of Captain Morgan.
Like the rum Captain Morgan?
The person that the mascot of the rum is based upon. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How did you find yourself reading that book?
I like biographies.
Okay.
I really like presidential biographies.
All right.
And just learning about history that way through the eyes of someone else and the struggles they went through and the time period. I'd never gone that far back in time. Usually it was like 1700s, 1800s that I really enjoy that era. But this one was, 1600s.
Okay. Is it like the Dread Pirate Roberts?
Captain Morgan was different. There's a lot of speculation because no one knows 100%, but, based upon the documents they have and stuff like that, he spent most of his time fighting on land.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Odd for a pirate.
Yes, but just the way that he conducted business, he was considered a privateer and a pirate. So he still falls under that category. And he did have ships and multiple ships and, commanded hundreds of guys at points in time.
How about that?
But they were famous for their exploits in the Caribbean and Central America.
Yeah, that sounds excellent. Okay, let's get serious here. Would you rather have diarrhea for 2 days or vomit for 1 day?
I thought you were being serious. I don't know. I think I'd pick the short duration.
Really?
Yeah, just get it over with.
That surprises me. I absolutely hate the latter. I'd go 2 days.
Well, I don't enjoy the former. Don't mistake my answer for enjoying it.
That's true. It's just it's all about just locking in and enduring for 24 hours or 48 hours, which you're going to take.
I'll take 24.
24.
Get it over with.
All right. What is your dream car?
There's a company that takes Super Duties and retrofits them to be 6-door.
Oh.
So you would have like an F-350 with 6 doors instead of 4.
Okay.
And you would still have the full-size bed. And they make everything, everything's welded together to where it looks factory. It's not just something they do in their backyard. It's a professional operation, and they look cool. And as a father of 5 kids, if we have one vehicle for our family, it can't be a pickup.
That's the one.
Unless we have a 6-door Super Duty.
Great answer. Great answer. I wonder how long it would be. We recently started shopping for a car, and my wife is interested in a Chevy Suburban. And so the Suburban is 18.5
I was going to say, those are close to 20 feet long.
long. Yeah. So how long is a 6-door Super Duty? I mean, if the bed is 8 feet, tack on another foot for the bumper and whatnot, you're at 9 before you even get to the 6-foot hood. There's 15.
I would say
6 doors. You're over 20 feet.
I would say, yeah, probably close between 25 and 28 feet.
You probably need a commercial driver's license for a vehicle like that. You'd be a limo driver. And if you'd be like...
Only if you do it for hire. Your Class F works just fine in Missouri. Unless you're getting paid.
Oh, you would know as your job.
Then
you
you
would
have to go to
know.
Class E.
What is E?
A chauffeur's license.
Oh, okay. Well, I have to get into that. How about, do you PB&J? How do you PB&J?
What's my preference, or how do we currently?
Like if you could make yourself a PB&J the way you want it.
It would be regular grape jelly, Jif peanut butter. There is no other kind.
Creamy or crunchy?
Creamy. There is no other kind.
That's suspect. Jury's out on that.
I don't know why they make crunchy peanut butter. And it's hard to get too much of either.
Okay.
You just
a lot. Load it up. Load.
Like a double, but without the middle piece of bread. So I mean, that thing's got to be thick.
Really thick.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
What do you dislike that everyone else seems to like?
Celebrity opinions.
You dislike celebrity opinions,
I
and everybody else seems
think.
to like about them.
It's all you see on the internet or ads or commercials. Is somebody endorsing some product? I'm like, well, yeah, they're just a person.
Yeah, I'd rather have the information.
And in fact, they probably have fewer life skills than you and I.
Yeah, although they are very good at acting as if they have a life skill.
A lot of them are good at singing too.
Mm-hmm.
They're very good at entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't find value in that with where I'm at in life right now.
Hot take. How about toilet paper? Over or under?
Over.
That's the correct answer. What is an opportunity past that you wished you had taken? I will not ask a follow-up question.
I think more travel before we had kids.
Okay, love that. What is the last thing on your body that chafed?
I don't think I've ever had to deal with that.
You've never had something chafe on your body?
I'm a pretty thin fella.
Really? Not even in PT? You've never had, something rub you raw?
No.
Wow. What was the last? Oh, no, that's the question I just asked. Something learned in school that you never learned in life.
The tongue taste map.
Oh.
You know the diagram of the tongue where it says, the back of your tongue, you taste this, and the front of your tongue, you taste this, and the left side and right side are different. I taste all flavors with the whole tongue. I don't know how other people do it. But not only is it inaccurate, but it's just pointless. Why are they teaching us
It's
this?
in there. That's awesome. What is the most corrupt organization in human history?
That's a tough one. Because
there's a lot of answers here.
Because human history is just packed full of failures of human integrity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Depends on what era you're looking at. I mean, currently, I probably shouldn't speak to that because it's going to make me sound like I need to put my tinfoil hat on, but in the past, there's some few standout examples.
Mhm.
The East India Trading Company, the Praetorian Guard in Rome.
Mhm.
Did you know they actually, the Praetorian Guard, they're tasked with protecting Caesar.
Mhm.
They actually assassinated Caesar and then auctioned off the throne to the next Caesar, to the highest bidder.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh, who would buy that next, knowing that the company that
Well, here's the follow-up. You know how long he was Caesar? The winner of the bid?
not long.
9 weeks. This is my shocked face.
It's the same. What is something you are convinced people only pretend to enjoy?
Kale.
Kale the lettuce?
Yes.
What is it?
Did you know prior to 2013, who was the largest buyer of kale in the United States?
Prior to 2013, who was the largest buyer of kale? I'm going to guess somebody who was feeding it to pets.
No, it wasn't even for consumption.
Was it for garnish?
It was Pizza Hut.
And their salad bars?
They covered the ice to make it look pretty in the salad bar.
Oh,
But it was
yes.
not part of the salad bar to eat.
And then somebody got the bright idea that it's going to make these terrible tasting chips.
I don't know what was the first kale product, but I guarantee it didn't taste good.
All right, last question. A movie so bad you didn't even want to finish watching it.
Les Miserables.
Really?
It was horrible. It was long.
Was it the movie?
was dry.
The movie that you're talking about, or the play, or
the I forget what it was. Maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15 years
was
ago.
it the one with like Russell Crowe and
Yep.
Anne Hathaway and all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you see the star-studded cast and you
Yeah.
think,
This is going to be great.
there might be some decent acting and this might be a good movie.
Yeah.
No.
It was not.
No, both my wife and I are like, we looked at each other on the way out and we're like, I only stayed because I thought you were enjoying it. Both of us had the same thought. We were like, no, that was terrible. I don't know why we wasted 3 hours of our life.
Hot take, man. Hot take. Great. Okay. Let's transition. You are a trooper for the Missouri Highway Patrol. And I say you were. I don't know. Is it the same? Like, you're not a trooper now. You're more of a detective now. But like, what's the official name for your job title?
I think the title's still the same. State trooper, no matter what your rank or position is.
Okay.
But within that, because we're such a large agency, there are multiple specializations you can follow.
Right.
Whether that's, water patrol or, our administrative staff or K-9 officers, SWAT team, aircraft.
All branches of
yeah,
the Highway Patrol.
There's all sorts of different specializations you can pursue.
So you have a perspective on society, on culture, by way of your job that few others do. I mean, law enforcement naturally, but you kind of get to see scumbags, dumb people, smart people, law-abiding citizens, probably like the brightest sides and most terrible sides of humanity on the daily. Mm-hmm. When people hear the term trooper or detective, I think maybe they picture a badge, right? They picture the job. They don't necessarily think, maybe most, I would say, don't necessarily think about the person. So who are you outside of that uniform?
Just a guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm nothing special and I'm no better than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't even, when I first meet somebody, I don't introduce myself as a trooper. It's, in my opinion, that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not who I am,
Mm-hmm.
which maybe we're just arguing semantics there, but I think there's a distinction to be made that some people base their identity on what they do,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not my mentality.
So what's the distinction? If we're arguing semantics, what would you say the validation is in the difference between who you are and what you do.
So that's what I do for 40 hours a week, give or take, which is not the majority of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, I was who I am. And when I retire, I will still be who I am. I don't wrap my identity up in that.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it. I'm good at it. I try to increase my knowledge and skills in that as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a duty to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I take it seriously, and I plan on being there long term. But at the end of the day, I come home. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I try to behave in a way that would honor that,
Mm-hmm.
and in turn, that reflects well on my organization as well, I think.
Very good. That's reasonable. What would your family say defines you the most?
Well, I asked my wife because they're the only ones. I didn't want to speculate.
Yeah.
I think she said patience, firstly,
Mm-hmm.
and then integrity.
Mm-hmm.
I think my parents would agree with that assessment.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, they knew me more closely for the first 18 years of my life. And
Mhm.
then the last 15 years of my life, my wife has known me more than anyone. So, like I said, I'm stuck in a rut. I haven't changed much.
Well, when you're walking around with that type of descriptor, you don't need to change much, right, to appreciate that. So that's good. Let's talk about law enforcement. I mean, I've been hoping to talk with you for a while, and I would just say maybe even thank you ahead of time for your candor here, because there's kind of like a stigma around law enforcement that you're in the job and it's difficult to talk about, but then it's also very interesting to people who are not in the profession to learn about. And so as transparent as you can be, we'd love to just know more about what makes a law enforcement person tick. And I say that because and we won't necessarily get into this. I don't have any plans to get into this, but it's been a very polarizing situation over the last few months related to some of the ICE things that are happening across the country, around the defund the police bit. I mean, there was a bunch of animosity there towards, different law enforcement groups for different practices. And then there's training that you're given to try to manage situations in a certain way that kind of directly conflicts with the way others might see that needing to go. And it just creates this environment for conflict. And so, we can go there in as far as you're comfortable, but let's maybe start at the ground. What first drew you toward law enforcement? Was there like a specific moment or influence that made you say, this is what I want to do? I want to be a cop. I want to be a trooper. I want to go this direction.
When I was in college, I went to Northwest, as some of your other guests have.
Go Bearcats?
Yes. Once a Bearcat, always a Bearcat.
Yes.
After my first year there, I realized getting a job would be a good thing while I was a student, to help supplement some of that money that was flowing out.
Right. So you're a freshman, money going out. You're like, I need a job.
Well, and I think that I had talked with my parents. Maybe the freshman year was not the time to get a job and just focus on getting used to the college routine and actually spending time doing the studies, before you get too spread thin. But they, at least at the time, Northwest had an online place where you could look at the open positions on campus, and which was good to have, because the campus positions would work with your class schedule. So,
were you a public safety officer?
No, I was a dispatcher on campus.
Okay, let's go.
And the schedule was they needed weekend workers for the overnight shift.
Oh, that's terrible.
So from midnight to 8 a.m. Friday nights or, early Saturday morning, and then Saturday nights into Sunday morning. And I wasn't a partier, so that didn't cut into that. That may come as a shock to you.
Nope.
But it didn't cut into my social life, of which was limited. And it paid an hourly wage.
Yeah.
And I was guaranteed pretty much 2 shifts a week. The benefit also was on campus, dispatching on campus. There really wasn't a lot that happened. I mean, there were times where I needed to be serious and focus on doing the job, but for the most part, it was long stretches of boredom. So I could get a lot of homework done. I could get a week's worth of homework done on a Friday night. Then Saturday morning, sleep for a few hours and be ready to go for the weekend.
Game on.
I enjoyed it. And I got to interact with not only the campus safety police there, but also the city officers and the county officers. A few of the campus police are still there that I know. A few of the city and a few of the county are still there. And, but then the troopers would also come in. I don't know if maybe Northwest just had like the best coffee around or what, but it seemed like that room was just kind of a meeting room right there in the dispatch center. And, so the troopers would come in too, and I got to know a couple of them that worked in that local area. And I enjoyed the job. I enjoyed dispatching, but considering a career in law enforcement, I knew that I don't really think I want to sit in a dark room on nights and weekends for the next 30 years. So I looked to actually being an officer. And when I was applying, my mentality was kind of like, well, I'll shoot for the top, and then if I don't make that, maybe I'll try for a county or a city somewhere. Not that there was anything wrong with any of those officers that I met, but I just thought being a state trooper would be kind of cool. And turns out it is.
That's awesome. So before you joined, what did you think it would be like? And then once you got in, kind of how did it compare?
I think I had a lot of good insight from working the dispatch. I also knew some of the troopers that I had grown up around. And so I knew that they would answer the questions honestly that I had. And they're not going to sugarcoat anything. They'll tell me the goods and the bads. Every job has that. So, but I think I had a pretty good idea of what it was before I got too involved in it. And then it turned out to be pretty close.
Did you guys talk stereotypes at all? Cops are coffee drinking, donut eating, fat guys,
Right. But like, look at the rest of America. So are they.
Yeah. Well, I say that and I'm kind of joking because you're not that, right? You do drink coffee, but
I like a good donut.
You are fit and, take care of yourself. I mean, you've got, and most of the troopers I know don't fit that bill at all, actually. So actually late Eric Hurst was famous for being able to fit into his work uniform that he got when he first came out. Like the only reason he got new ones is because they issued him new ones. He'd still wear them, which is crazy. What do you remember most about your first days in the academy? And is it the same if you go that way? Is it the same police academy, or is it a different approach?
The Highway Patrol Academy in Missouri has not changed, at least from my perspective. It hasn't changed drastically in the last 50 years. I guess the instructors probably make it what it is, but the general curriculum and the general experience has been the same, at least the way I understand it. It's a paramilitary style. They get you up early and make you do push-ups, and they induce stress by talking loudly and
like a drill instructor loudly.
Yeah. Okay. Yelling at you. And
they call you names.
No, I mean,
I was going to say, is this where you got your nickname?
It's not degrading. It's more of just stress, and they're trying to weed out the people that are not cut out for handling stress and handling people yell at them. They set deadlines that are unattainable. Hey, it's 6:45. You just ran 3 miles. And we are, we're still a half mile from your room. Breakfast is at 7. Don't be late. And don't forget to shower. I mean, that's an unattainable goal. So inevitably, you show up at 7:05
Yeah.
for breakfast, and then the whole class is in trouble again. But when you realize that's part of the process,
Yeah.
then, and you also realize they can't hurt you.
Right.
They're not going to physically assault me. I think it just becomes a shift in your mentality.
Yeah.
And also our academy is different in that we're getting paid while we're there. We're actually hired to the highway patrol before the academy.
Oh, really?
And then so day one, we're actually accruing pay.
Okay.
So after a couple of weeks, you get that first paycheck, which for me was my first big boy job.
Real check.
And
like, this is great.
it was just auto deposited into my bank account. And I look at it and I'm like, man, I could do some more push-ups for that. I mean, I think it's all about how you mentally prepare for it.
That's awesome. And despite the pay, people still wash out?
Oh yeah, it's a high attrition rate.
Really?
I don't remember exactly. My class started in the maybe high 30s and we graduated maybe 26.
Okay. So 30-some% washing
Yeah,
out.
routinely, I think even in the last few years, it's been that same way. The majority of people that quit do it within the first week.
Yeah.
They realize
This ain't for me.
I don't want to be here,
Yeah.
or I think there's a few that always, out of every class, that after that first weekend, you get to go home and see your family, and there's always one or two that don't come back because it's hard.
Yeah.
I didn't have a family at the time. I was just a single guy. Lindsay was my girlfriend at the time, so I did not envy the guys that had kids that had to go home and then tell them goodbye on a Sunday afternoon to go back to the academy.
Yeah, I can imagine. And in my mind, I'm still thinking like Full Metal Jacket. That drill instructor, man, yelling at him, all the nicknames and everything like that.
At the beginning, you kind of think, man, I don't like this guy.
Yeah.
But then toward the end, some of the most abrasive instructors became some of my best, I don't know, some of the guys that you respected the most.
Yeah.
And you start seeing like, this is not who they are. They're acting.
Yeah.
Because at the end, they're not breaking you down anymore. They're building you up and they're training you, and they want the best for you because you're not only going to be put in unwinnable situations sometimes, but you're also carrying on the tradition and the name that they worked for. So they want you to succeed.
Yeah.
They just don't want to waste time pouring into someone who's not going to enjoy it or be cut out for the job.
Right.
So that's why they
weed them out.
Try to make you quit at the beginning.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's, I think, a great transition. I mean, the next question I had was, when did you, like, when it truly hit you that you weren't just, this isn't just like a summer camp. This isn't just like a boot camp. This is, you're actually learning, developing skills to put yourself in a position of responsibility for people's lives, for the safety and the security of the community around you. Now, how does that hit home? In that, are they driving that home from the day one, or is that later in your career? Like, how do you really
they
embrace that?
They get to that point pretty quickly. Within the first few days, it's hard to remember exactly what happened. That was 14 years ago, and I was sleep deprived. But I remember they hit it pretty quickly. They try to let you know that this is not going to be an easy job all the time. They show videos of crashes. They show, you can get online right now on YouTube and look at multiple, probably dozens of videos of officers being assaulted or shot. But there's usually something is blurred out or the screen is blacked out for, some of the traumatic parts.
They're not blacking that out for you, I'm sure.
They retain those videos that are not edited. So you get to hear and see everything. And it's tough. It's tough to watch that.
Yeah.
But I think having a few years of dispatch experience kind of prepares you for like, oh, well, this is serious. Like I'm here to help but I can also be in a poor situation at times. And just being in dispatch, you hear officers that they get in a situation where they're amped up and they need help. And there's nothing you can do about it at the time, just sitting there in the chair. But so I knew it was a serious career. But they want you to know that. They don't try to hide it.
Well, yeah, and you're ready. When you can count the cost going in, you're ready for it at that point. And that's the awareness that I've perceived in you, right? I used the term vigilant earlier. You've got most areas of your life that I can see on lock, because you've counted the costs. So we kind of clarified earlier the difference between trooper, detective, yada yada. Lots of different. You're all troopers, but your job hasn't always been in the patrol car, right? You're kind of all correct. You've kind of done multiple things. So, with high level, like what's been your career path?
So everybody, for the most part, starts out as a road trooper. With the cool. Fully marked car and the big hat.
Cool hat. I love those hats. I love them. You guys
at least in Missouri,
awesome.
At least in Missouri, that's kind of how we're identified. Because there's not a lot of other agencies that wear the campaign hat. Everybody, that I can think of starts off in that capacity, and you learn the basics of what we're expected to do as an agency. Our bread and butter is traffic enforcement and crash documentation and reconstruction. So I mean, that's you hear the comments of people driving by and they see a trooper sitting in the median. They're like, "Oh, he's just waiting for somebody to pull over." I'm like, yeah, that's what they get paid to do.
That's what we're doing.
That is the job is traffic enforcement, because I think the academy instructors would not like that I cannot quote verbatim the mission and vision of the Highway Patrol, but it has to do with enforcing, the safety for all Missourians and those passing through the state as well.
Okay. Yeah. And the way you do that is through enforcing the laws.
And sometimes
because laws are written for our good.
Yeah, right. It doesn't even require traffic stops. Sometimes just sitting in the median is enough to get people to slow down and look around.
Yep. In the DHS world, I spent some time with in the federal government. They call that a show of force, right? You just showing the car, showing the dog walking through the space, showing, a man in uniform periodically is enough to remind people that there is a consequence for breaking some law, and it deters many crimes.
If everybody drove like there was a trooper right behind them, I think we would work very few crashes.
That's a great perspective. Again, high level. Did because now you're doing more detective work than you were car work, right?
Like I said, we have a lot of specialties you can go into. Pretty quickly in my career, I realized our investigative division, which I guess my title would be a criminal investigator within our division for investigations.
Okay.
But I realized pretty quickly, hey, that looks like something that I would like, and that I might actually be good at.
Well, as a quiet thinker, right? I mean, that's how you've got to put those pieces together, right?
Yeah. It's hard for me to turn off the wheels spinning. I just constantly thinking, which can be a blessing and a curse. But I've always been kind of detail oriented. I like figuring out the puzzle. Even when I was on the road, somebody would lie to me, every day.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to figure out how to prove they're lying without just straight up calling somebody a liar, because that really never goes over well. So you just ask a series of questions, and then you kind of start putting the pieces together to try to figure out what's really going on here.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. And at the end of the day, when, you get somebody they kind of drop their eyes and they say, yeah, you got me.
You got me.
Yeah, I was being dishonest.
It's a victory royale for you, right?
And there's not even the public celebration. There's just like yeah, I know, but now that you know that I know, like, let's deal with it.
Yeah.
So I just always enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah. So that type of thing correlates well to the investigative side things afterwards, right?
Yeah, it's what's made me successful in the investigations. I really have taken a liking to like scene processing. So a crime scene, documenting that, and then looking for clues, taking photos, and then collecting evidence can really help the other guys that are doing maybe interviews, to where they're getting one side of the story, other guys getting the opposite side of the story that for some reason never seems to add up.
Yeah, imagine.
But then I'm in someone's house, pursuant to a warrant or something, and I'm looking at the evidence saying, this is what I see. I don't even know what the victim or what the suspect or what the witnesses are telling the interviewers. But we're constantly in communication. We're texting back and forth. We're emailing back and forth. We're saying, this is what I'm seeing at the house. This is what they're saying. And just trying to match it up. And a lot of times what they're saying doesn't always match up with what I find at the house. And I find that very interesting.
Sure. Yeah. Like you said, that's the puzzle that needs to be worked, right? So how much of the time then is spent in the field versus behind a desk?
The majority is behind a desk.
Oh, okay.
I wish it was the other way. Everybody loves being out in the field, having fun, solving the crimes.
Sure. Well, that's what the crime shows are all about,
right?
I mean, you're kind of like a real life.
It wouldn't be very fun to watch, though, if it was just 2 hours of a detective typing a report.
Yeah. Those bullpen conversations, though, do they happen the way they do in the TV shows and the movies?
You mean like between the officers or between the suspect?
When like the desks are all together and, you've got like the head guy around and you're all talking about the case.
Yeah, so
or whatever,
I mean,
they make a decision and you blow out.
So we've got 4 guys that cover our area, which is the 15 counties in Northwest Missouri. And 3 of us are in one office, and then the supervisor is in a separate office, but he's right across the hall. And part of that is just for administrative things. There's like when he's doing our evaluations every year, we probably shouldn't listen to everyone else's. So he does have a separate office, although he spends a lot of time in ours because there's only 4 of us.
Yeah,
so
it's part of the job.
We're a small, tight-knit group. Everybody kind of has their role. We've been doing it long enough together that we just kind of know each other's role. There's not a lot of discussion of who's going to do what. It's just, I'll do this. I know he's going to do this. We'll get together at the end and have our powwow and figure out, what direction we need to go from there. But so all of our desks are in there, and we do have a whiteboard. We don't use it that much, but
we put stuff up there. I've just got like these different cop shows in my mind, from I don't know, The Mentalist all the way down to these others.
Yeah, well, a lot of stuff we do is electronic now, so we don't.
What cop show is that you've observed is the most like the job that you do? Like, are there any that or do you like intentionally avoid the drama?
It's been a long time since I watched any TV.
Okay.
And even longer since I watched any cop shows.
Bad TV.
I don't know. I live that, so I don't need to come home and watch some more of it.
Yeah.
I understand the draw. I understand why people like watching that.
Yeah.
But I don't need to watch it.
It's the puzzle piece. It's all the stuff that you want with it, with none of the paperwork and actually none of the risk.
Right. You get closure in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Some of our cases last weeks or months, and we're still tracking down leads from, so we think we're about done, but then somebody comes in and says, well, I heard this. Well, now we got to go chase that down too. So, I would love to get closure in 45 minutes, but that's just not reality. One show that I did enjoy back, 15 years ago was Southland.
I didn't see that one.
It's about Los Angeles, and so it covers. There's a handful of what I would call the main characters, and a couple of them are on patrol, a couple of them are in detectives, a couple of them are in the administration, and it's constantly switching back and forth. And their roles don't always interact, but it's showing what they do within it's either LAPD or the Los Angeles Sheriff's, but it's in Los Angeles area based on that. And it's not reality TV. It's not actually officers. It's all acting, but it was fairly decent acting. And from the patrol side of things and from the detective side of things, it did show some of the struggles and some of the
Pretty good.
Yeah, it kind of got into their personal lives too, of like, it would, when they were off duty, it would show, their kids are sick or they're going through a divorce or stuff like that. So I appreciated that part of it, that it kind of showed life behind the job.
Yeah.
Which made it seem real.
Well, and behind the scenes is, again, at the end, to your point earlier, the public sees traffic stops and flashing lights and whatnot. And I mean, there is a whole lot of other things that go on outside of that 30 seconds that you can see the cop car slow down, drive like he's behind you, like you say, get, or she get in front of them. And then, they're in your rearview mirror, and then you speed back up to 10 over and you're good to go.
Yep. Yeah.
So, what's a normal week look like for you then, if there is such a thing?
Well, you never know with any job in the patrol, because a lot of what we do is reactive. Whether you're on the road and you're just reacting to, a stranded motorist or a crash, or you're out working traffic and trying to slow down people. A lot of times there's someone specific you're looking for. And whether that's...
Is that an APB?
We don't use that term, but
what
yes.
is that? What is that term?
All points bulletin, maybe?
I don't have any idea.
I don't know. We don't use the term. But,
okay. I just heard people say it on cop shows.
No,
Hey, get an APB out on this guy.
I think that may be regional. I think the one we use around here is BOLO. Be on the lookout.
Oh, okay.
It's not common talk. I guess I don't know. I don't talk Tacticool either. So
Tacticool.
Maybe some people talk like that, but
I think you just named the episode.
Yeah. But no, what they do see the big hats and the flashing lights. What they don't get to see is some of the stuff I wish they could see, like the trooper that jumps in a freezing lake to pull out a 5-year-old that fell through the ice.
Yeah.
The trooper that runs into a burning house because the fire department's still 10 minutes away, because around here, a lot of the departments are volunteer,
right?
And they don't have the funds to have a full-time fire department that's ready to go at a moment's notice. So they're piecemealing people in from, miles around who have to drive their own vehicles and then get on the fire trucks and then drive to the scene. Whereas the trooper might be, 2 minutes from the call, gets there and, the mom's outside saying,
my baby's in there.
I don't know where my kids are.
Yeah.
So, they don't get to see that stuff very often. But it's just something that at some point, everybo's had a moment like that where they just do it because it's the right thing to do. And it's what we're tasked with.
Well, I mean, let's go into that. How does the academy training that you talked about translate to real life situations? They spend that time trying to bring you up and get you ready for that environment, and then you're in the car, and invariably you get into that real life situation, and the guy behind the wheel or the girl behind the wheel is not it's not scripted. They're not playing a game, right? This is real.
Yeah, our academy does, in my opinion, does a really good job. The best you can do in a training environment. Our academy is 6 months, so it's longer than some. And in that, they cover, how to work a crash. But you can't cover some of the scale of the crashes. They cover how to deal with an unruly subject, but that person is a role player and they're also a trooper, and they are not going to actually hurt you. That's not true in the real world.
Yeah.
You can actually get hurt by someone who wants to harm you.
Yeah. Those are the videos you talked about earlier.
Yeah. And so there's only so much you can do. And like I said, I think they do a fine job with what they have to work with, but there's just no way that you can accurately portray what it's really like. The working a crash on paper is a lot different than going out on the interstate, and I've got a semi that's turned over and traffic's backing up and everybody's looking at me like, we got to get the road open. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a million things going through your mind, and you may be, at least in our rural area, you may be the only trooper for 20 miles.
So it's your scene until
they're looking at
somebody
you.
Gets there. Yeah.
The other drivers, the other, whether the county has somebody out there or a city has somebody out there, the troopers are tasked with traffic around here, which means they usually work the crashes.
Yeah.
And some counties do, and some cities do too, but generally it's the troopers. And
you're saying around here, you mean like around the Lawson area, or around the area in which the trooper is assigned?
Yeah, so in the rural areas, which I would consider Lawson part of the rural area.
Yep.
Pretty much everything north of Liberty, all the way up to Iowa is pretty rural, and that's so. You not only do you have them looking at you like, I don't know what to do. Hope you do. Then you've got the other motorists that are, everybody thinks their time's more important. So they're like, hey, when am I going to be able to get through here? I got to get somewhere. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry that this overturned truck with injured people has ruined your day, but
sure,
let's have a little perspective here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, trying to do the best job you can as efficiently as possible becomes the balancing act, because you don't want to overlook something and go too fast, but you also are kind of on a time crunch because inevitably there's going to be a secondary crash from the traffic backup.
Yeah. So what you're saying is 15 minutes to run a half mile back, get a shower, and then get to breakfast by 7 is a realistic expectation for the training environment.
The unwinnable scenario.
Yeah. You can't win, right? In either scenario.
Right.
That's a good perspective. And again, I'm thinking about
and now you're seeing why they do what they do.
Yeah. Right. Well, and I'm thinking about the motorist that's frustrated when, you're backing up and there's somebody that could have died. There's somebody that could have be critically injured. And if you're the only one there, or you respond and it's 10 minutes away, right? I mean, you've got a very large task, right? It's not just traffic. At that point, it's life safety and saving. It's getting people who aren't maybe who are out of their car, back in their car, or out of harm's way. I've seen many videos online where the trooper's got you pulled over, and then he has you get out of the car and go around the other side because the people just hit the parked car. They hit the cruiser and it drives into the other one. And
I've been lucky my car's never been hit. I have had to jump on the hood of other people's cars when I'm standing on the side of the road, at least twice. That it was a close call, but that's part of the training, is you're always looking behind you because traffic doesn't care sometimes. They just
see. I thought you always looked behind you because that's a cool image of just the trooper looking back and standing there with that hat on and everything like that. You guys are well.
We don't have a mirror on the front of our car, but if we did, that would be a benefit, because you could always look back and see that big hat.
Oh, it's so good. Okay, so the adrenaline hits. Does the training take over automatically then, or I'm thinking that guy you that is a trooper in camp that doesn't want to harm you, and the guy who wants to harm you because he's got a reason that he doesn't want to be stopped today. And when you find out who he is, he's going to be hostile, or things can go south so quickly. So are you approaching every traffic stop like that? Every scenario you're walking in?
Yes. And yes and no. You're not treating people like they're out to hurt you. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to treat them like anybody else, but always be on guard. And you can after doing it for years, you can pretty quickly get a sense of how this is going to go. There's a big difference between stopping a little old lady for going a little too fast, or a soccer mom that was late to get her kids to practice, versus, somebody that's fidgety, nervous.
Something's wrong.
You can tell. It's not that you learn what's wrong. It's that you learn what's normal. You learn what the baseline is. And then anything outside of that baseline, then we're going to start asking more questions and we're going to be a little bit more cautious. Just a routine traffic stop, which, they say there's no routine, but yeah, there's a baseline. Just a baseline traffic stop. You can be in and out of there pretty quick and not have to ask a lot of follow-up questions because there's usually not a lot else going on. But, sometimes there are. And then and that's where the training, you ask, does the training kick in? I would say yes and no. There's only so much training you can do yearly. I mean, if you're going to be good, if you're going to be a good fighter, that's a constant training. The MMA guys, they don't certify on tactics once a year like we do. The way I think a good analogy for how we do it is they give you tools and ideas of what could work. If you want to expound on that throughout your free time, then you can. But there's a minimum requirement that we have to do every year, and part of that is defensive tactics and handcuffing techniques and all this stuff to basically gain compliance without injuring them or yourself. Doing that once a year is not, after the 364 days, if you get in a scenario, you're not going to remember. It's unrealistic to expect somebody to remember exactly how to do this technique.
Right.
That's not to say there are troopers that do it. I know black belts in jiu-jitsu that are a trooper. That's not a guy that you would want to tangle with. Right. Because you'll just go to sleep before you knew what happened. Night. There was a guy in my academy class, and he wasn't real open with it, but he kind of let it slip that he was an MMA fighter. And we were like, yeah, right. Okay. You look him up online and he's actually been in like MMA fights. He's a trained kickboxer, but also does MMA.
Yeah. Ground and pound.
I never wanted to pair with him in the academy. Yeah. Because when they tell you to, we're just going to go through the techniques and go like 50% speed. Oh no. I mean, you were still getting hurt going with that guy. Yeah. And he's got cauliflower ear, and you just know by looking at him, you're like, this guy is not somebody you want to mess with. But you just don't know what's going to happen. And you try to retain the ideas that you think might work.
So what's a moment in your career that you realized that experience teaches things that no classroom can? Like, let's go with like the good old fashioned like cop story,
I don't know. I've always said I should keep like a log or a diary of these stories because I've forgotten so many of them.
Right.
My wife will bring up something that I told her years ago about a case we worked or a traffic stop that I was on, and I'm like, I forgot all about that. But yeah, that's kind of a cool story. I don't know. I think when it first hits you that like, oh, this is real, is probably like I was saying, like your first big crash on the interstate. Yeah. Where there's 3 cars, there's somebody injured, there's traffic's getting backed up, everybody's honking, and you look around and you're the only one. Yeah. Like, we got to figure this out. And there's just, you can prep somebody for that, but you can't adequately train on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, insofar as you're comfortable, you've had to face some pretty hard realities. Like, I mean, there's tragic accident scenes, right? You come across, because I took a defensive driving thing, for work, and they showed some stuff. They blurred some of the things out, but I've also seen and have a pretty graphic mind anyway. And then TV has been kind of crazy too lately. So, I mean, it shows you people's severed heads and stuff like that, right? So it's awkward, but how do those moments affect you? Like you come up to that and you see somebody who's, I mean, they're dead. Like, how does that work? I mean, how do you absorb that? How do you process that?
I think what's worked for me is I tell myself, like, it's not that you can't that you can't be upset about this, but you can't be upset about this right now. You have a job to do.
Yeah.
Do it as best you can, because traffic's relying on you, the family's relying on you, the suspect and victims are relying on you. Like, there's a lot of pressure in that moment to do the right things and say the right things. And if you're an emotional mess, then I don't feel like you can do that to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
So you just kind of, it's hard to describe. You just kind of turn it off in the moment and just focus on the task at hand. And the gory scenes don't bother me. I don't have a physical reaction to sights and smells. Some people have involuntary reactions to like a certain smell, whether that's decomposition or something like that. They just, you can't help it. And you can't fault them for that because it's just an involuntary, whether that's a gagging reaction or whatever. But
yeah, it's gross.
But yeah, I don't like the smell of decomposition, but it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I don't have a reaction
what situation
to it.
you're in.
And then when it's over, and I don't know, you're on to the next one. Not the only, I would say the ones that stick with you maybe just a tad longer are the ones involving children, whether they're the victims or whether they're left, without a parent, situations like that. When a kid gets hurt, whether emotionally or physically, I think it would be more concerning to me if it didn't bother me.
There's a peculiar type of injustice that happens when that happens.
Yeah, but in the moment, I don't let it bother me. It's maybe later on, you have time to decompress and think like, yeah, that was sad. And, I am sorry for that family that had to go through that. But you can't dwell on it. It's not helpful. And, it's not going to make a difference. So I don't know. I have occasionally been worried that I don't have enough emotion, as we discussed.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was sitting here thinking, like
But then there are times where you see stuff or you're involved in stuff, and then, a couple days later you're like, yeah, I'm a little sad, but it doesn't affect what I do. But it's almost a good reminder of like, oh,
I do feel.
I'm so glad that I am sad.
Yeah.
I was getting a little worried there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a balancing act of taking it seriously, but not letting it overwhelm you.
I read a book recently by Brant Hansen called Unoffendable. And it was talking about the nature of anger and emotion in general. And it talks about the best police type of folks out there are those who are not going to allow the emotions get the better of them in the moment. Because oftentimes when you make a decision out of emotion, it's generally the wrong decision. You overreact, or you're too aggressive, or you're not aggressive enough, or you're...
And those are the police stories that make the news.
Exactly.
So the cameras of some of my traffic stops would not make the news because they would be very dry.
Yeah.
Because somebody could be yelling at me or throwing stuff or just generally angry, not even at me, just having a bad day. It's pretty frequently we contact people on a bad day. That's just the nature of the job. But when you walk up there and you're just monotone like I sometimes am, and you don't have any emotion on your face like I normally do, like you said,
you hate me.
You thought that I didn't like you, but that's just my face. But when you walk up there and you have that or lack of that, then it doesn't add fuel to that fire. And you're just able to have a conversation and, hey, this is what's going on. This is how we're going to handle it. And it's not newsworthy because it's it's pretty dry.
Yeah.
But I've actually been thanked for that before, for just not letting their excitement get me excited.
Yeah.
I think that's helpful, and I haven't had a lot of use of force scenarios,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it has to do a lot with how I've talked to people,
Mm-hmm.
Guys that are looking for a fight.
Mm-hmm.
If I act like I'm not interested at all in what they got going on or fighting, or I don't even really care that you were speeding, like, hey, I saw you going a little fast, and here we are.
Yeah. This is
I don't
the reality.
care. I don't take it personally. I think they can sense that,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes out as a positive for both sides. So.
Mm-hmm. So
one of my weaknesses in not showing emotion can be a positive in this job.
Right. That was kind of the point I was making with the book scenario, right? Like the lack of emotion is a great asset there.
Yeah, it is a weakness in that when someone tells me they're having a baby or they're getting married,
congratulations.
I show very little emotion, even though I am excited for them and I want the best for them. That's but awesome. You know that they probably walk away thinking, "Wow, I thought he was my friend."
That's right. Okay. Because it's been so polarizing in the news media recently. Lethal use of force is one of the more serious burdens of responsibility, right? I mean, like you said, they make the news. And it's one of the most serious things that can happen to an officer, right? Trying to do their job, assuming that you've done everything right and you still find yourself in a situation where you're dealing with a hostile or combative individual. You're still trained to use lethal force. And, I mean, that's why you carry a gun, right? I mean, it's part of the job. So, I mean, I'd like to just leave that open and say, you know, how's your training applied to that possibility, right? I mean, I don't want to say, have you ever shot somebody, right? I mean, that's a terrible question to ask, and it's a bit insensitive to ask it that way. So but at the same time, I'm trying to, like, I mean, if somebody's going to have experience with that decision, like that training and that application in the real world, it would be somebody like you. So it's one thing like me to carry concealed and to have taken some training and feel good about my ability and, you know, my Second Amendment rights. And another thing for somebody like you who is putting that on the daily and knowing that that's a part of my job. Like this is a real potential, and the percentage of opportunities for you having exposure to that sort of situation is much higher than mine. So just like your feedback on that.
Yeah. So one thing that they do well, I think, is they train marksmanship. I'm going to be accountable for every round that I fire, whether it hits my target or not. Some of the worst cases we work are where there's a stray bullet that hits someone else or something important that was not intended to be hit.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's not that common, but in a stressful situation, your marksmanship goes way down. So practicing your marksmanship at a baseline is a positive and a good thing that everybody should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, like, I don't know, training for that, like, there's a lot of options. I would never second guess anybody, especially in the news, that's been in a lethal force scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't there. I didn't see what they saw. Even the body cam, sometimes it may show some details, but it doesn't accurately portray everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way it can. In that scenario, are you familiar with the, what's that? The Marvel movie, Doctor Strange,
mm-hmm.
where he's seeing a million different possible outcomes.
Yeah.
So you draw your gun, and you've got somebody that's not complying. Well, just because I drew my gun doesn't mean that I'm always going to shoot somebody.
Right.
That's just hey, there's a possible outcome here that's poor.
It's going to end with that trigger being pulled.
Right. So you're going through possible outcomes here. Like what's going to make us get to that point? And anything less than that, okay, what are the other possible outcomes?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, it ends in nothing. It's a big nothing burger. That's
Mm-hmm.
why you don't hear it on the news. The only news stories you hear are the big ones or the controversial ones,
Mm-hmm.
where it's easy to nitpick and say they should have done this or they should have done that. But just about everybody that's saying that has never been in that situation.
Right.
So you're trying to think, okay, if I've got somebody that's not complying and they start reaching in their waistband, well, that's going to go this way pretty
Mm-hmm.
quick. If I've got somebody that's not complying and I give them verbal commands to put their hands up and turn around and they do it, well, then I might not be using this gun today.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the majority of them go.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's other tactics that you can do. I mean, if it's just, there's such a wide range of what could happen and what has happened that it would be impossible to play all of them in your mind, but
Right.
just to try to be thinking, like I said, keep those wheels spinning of what could happen here. If this, then this, or if something else, then a different outcome. I think the mental preparation for something like that is difficult because I hope that it never happens to anybody. I mean, I hope for myself that I'm never in that situation. And it's, everybody thinks they'll know how they would handle it, whether in the moment or following. But I think it was Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah. Right. That's
So
classic fog of war, right?
you never, from what I've seen, some of the officers you think would be emotionally strong and not show any sort of breakdown or anything like that. Some of them are genuinely upset after a lethal force scenario. And that's not wrong, but having no emotion is not wrong either. It's such a nuanced thing.
Right.
And everybody's different. Every situation's different. So it becomes difficult to say what should and should not happen.
Right. So how do you, I mean, the assumption is you clearly you said it, you don't want that to happen. You train for the worst, but kind of prepare and plan for the, you train and prepare and plan for the worst, but you kind of hope for the best. But you're in a no-win situation, right? We've talked about that training. And when you come out of that situation where you couldn't win, right? How do you carry the emotional weight of that decision afterwards? I mean, I can just only imagine you've been a trooper now for 13 years, 13 to 26. So in 13 years,
14
years. Okay. You're 12 or 14 years. You've had to have been in no-win situations, right? Nobody's bats 1,000. So how do you carry the emotional weight of that decision afterwards? How have you seen others? Is it like therapy? Is it just like brotherhood and the people that you went to the class with? I mean, is just like, I mean, like there's the American Legion and there's stuff like that for people who've come home from wars.
So I haven't been in that situation, thankfully.
Okay. Yeah.
And I do know others that have, and I don't know exactly what their regimen looks like to get back to a baseline, ready for duty. Like, I'm good to go. I think that therapy used to have a negative stigma, but not only our agency, but just the population in general has kind of started to turn that corner of like, oh, this is not all, rainbows and unicorns and singing kumbaya. Like there may be some benefit here for people to have a professional to to talk to that may understand or may have some coping mechanisms to be able to move on past this. I don't think that everyone benefits from that. I think it would be unrealistic to expect everyone to benefit from one thing or another. But I think it's becoming more common, and at least a lot of agencies are. I don't know if they're mandating, but they're encouraging at least one session. Like, hey, let's make sure that
check out
if we start to peel off the scab here, that you're not going to have a mental breakdown, because that's the last thing we want, is to send you back out there and then you're not able to perform, what we've tasked you with doing.
Yeah, you're right there in that situation we talked about earlier, right? You're letting the emotion get in the way of making a good decision.
Right. And just because somebody doesn't need that, I don't think that's wrong either. I think there's been a few that I can think of that they're like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
And that's true.
Yeah.
They're good for whatever reason. That one was not the one that broke them.
Yeah.
I'm constantly dealing with death and, the evil in the world. And we'll have people ask, how are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm good. And they're like, how are you really doing?
Yeah. Like trying to get the dirt.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I may break someday, but this is not the one that's going to break me.
Ain't today.
So I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, because you just don't know how you're going to handle everything. But
right.
So far.
So let's transition though, because I want to say, just because you're not breaking doesn't mean you're not maybe responding to it, right? Or changed as a result of the experience. So, you're carrying some emotional weight after some of these decisions, and you're kind of self-admittedly not you're a man outside of the job that you're doing. And so you're going to do this job 40 some hours a week, and then you're going to come home. So do you bring the job home with you?
No, I don't think I do.
Really?
I think so.
You don't need to decompress or anything after
our office. Part of the reason I get so much windshield time, our main office is about 50 miles from my house. So I have some windshield time every day to drive back and forth the days that I do go to the office. And I know a lot of people have a commute to work, but I kind of appreciate that time in the morning. I get on the way there is when I
get ready.
I'm waking up. I get to be fully awake. I get to have a snack or breakfast. And, by the time I get there, I'm ready to go. And then on the inverse, on the way home, I'm okay. Everything that I dealt with and everything I have to do tomorrow, don't worry about it now, because there's nothing I can do about it today. And when I get home, I'm going to be bum rushed by any number of kids that
any number 1 to 5.
They expect me to be physically and emotionally available for them.
Yeah.
And it would be unfair to them to not be, to say, nope, I can't be your dad right now because I worked a hard case. So my goal every day is to come home, and by the time I get there, be ready for whatever they have in store, because sometimes it's all happy and they're happy to see me. And sometimes you walk into a storm that's been brewing all day.
Yeah.
And your wife hands you a baby and says, I'm going for a walk, have fun.
Yeah. We'll see you.
And that's fine too. But I need to be able to handle that.
Right. Oh, it's awesome. So are you a different type of parent as a result of some of the things that you've seen and done at work?
I don't think my parenting philosophy is different.
Okay.
I think maybe the strategy is
Okay.
different. The expression of that on how my wife and I as a team decide to parent, because of some of the things that I've seen, because of the closeness that I come to the evil in the world.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people know it's out there. They just choose not to think about it,
Right.
or some don't even know what they're up against.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just,
So, like, give me some examples. Is like safety at like restaurants, ball games, school events that we're talking about?
yeah,
Or you?
I used to be way more uptight than I am now. I used to be maybe a little too paranoid
Mhm.
about something bad happening. And probably having 5 kids has made me a little more flexible.
Or tired?
or just, yeah, I just don't have the capacity to be paranoid all the time. But I'm still very aware of the surroundings. I would say almost to my own negative, like it almost hurts me how much I am aware,
Mm-hmm.
because you're just constantly on edge.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm in public, I don't feel like I can relax. Part of that is the job, and part of that is just my natural personality. Is I'm just an introvert, and I would prefer to be at home,
Mm-hmm.
Or out in the woods by myself or with my family.
Yeah.
But it's gotten better. I've been able to actually enjoy the time at ball games and the time at restaurants. We don't go to restaurants. We can't afford to feed an army. But no, it's a knife edge to walk, to be prepared and be aware, but not let it affect you to where you can't have a good time,
Sure.
to where you can't be with your family when you're out.
Sure. So how do you actually balance preparedness without raising kids in fear?
I think we explain a lot of things. We're very open with our kids.
Mhm.
We want them to be aware of what's going on. We want them to be prepared for
Mhm.
things. And we do that in a way that's not out of fear. I'm
Mhm.
not saying to my kids, hey, when we go watch this baseball game, I need to be able to see you at all times because I don't want you to get kidnapped.
Right.
That's probably not the best way to,
Yeah.
for a 5-year-old
Yeah.
to process that.
Somebody might take me.
I'm telling them practically, not out of fear, why I want to be able to see where they're at. What if, I'm going through scenarios with them. I'm letting them brainstorm. Hey, what are some reasons that you might need to know where I am?
Mhm.
Well, what if I fall down and hurt my toe
Mhm.
and I need a Band-Aid? Dad always carries Band-Aids. It's
Yep.
part of the preparation that I always have with me because we go through piles of Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now you've fallen down in the parking lot because you were playing with your friends in roughhousing.
Yeah.
And you look up and you know exactly where I'm sitting because we've been in eyesight the whole time. Even though you may be 100 yards away,
Mhm.
I know where you're at.
Mhm.
So it's going through their minds too of like, hey, this is important that we at least know where everyone is. The
Yeah.
older kids tend to keep an eye on the younger kids. It comes natural to them, but they
Mhm.
also have that sense of responsibility. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, hey, I just pulled them out of a tree that they were trying to climb. And sometimes it's just coming to tell like, hey, I think they might be doing something you might want to
Yeah.
go see if this is okay. And that's great. But we try not to parent out of fear. We try not
Right.
to scare them. It's like when we do a fire drill at our house. I need my kids to know what to do if our house catches on fire.
Right.
But I don't want them to be scared that our house is going to catch on fire.
Right.
That is a very unlikely scenario.
Mhm.
If it does happen, I need them not to freak out.
Mhm.
And I need them to go through what we've talked about.
Mhm.
This is how you're going to get out of your room. This is where we're going to meet. This is what mommy and dad are going to be doing during this time.
Yeah.
And if you're not at the meeting spot, we're coming back in to find you. So it's important that you get there because you don't want daddy back in the house when you're out in the yard on the wrong side.
Right. Right.
And after a couple times of just game planning and going through that and just kind of having a mental rep,
Mhm.
we actually showed our kids how to pop the screens out of our windows, and they loved it.
Really?
Oh yeah, we had they know how to, all except the baby.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to unlock the windows, raise them up, and undo the screens.
Yep.
and get out of our house, which is we don't have a second story. So it's all ground level.
Yeah.
So they can pop the screens out and crawl out without having to break a window, without having to damage anything. We can practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we're like, hey, this is where we're meeting. And you see it click and they love it because they feel safe and secure because they know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And then we talk about how, hey, this doesn't really happen that often.
Yeah.
This is very unlikely to happen. We have smoke alarms everywhere.
Yeah, they're going to showing their friends how to undo
If the smoke alarm's going off, there's more of a chance that we burnt something in the oven because there's so many of you that we forgot about it.
It's classic. So I appreciate that on the emergency preparedness side. Like, how about like how you approach home protection and self-defense? I mean, I have not met a police worker yet that doesn't conceal carry in some capacity, right? So
I would say I'm always within arm's reach of a firearm. And that's not because I'm scared. It's just because it's a tool that I'm very comfortable with having. I don't even realize, I don't feel that I carry a pistol. Yeah. It's just, I've done it for so long. It almost feels weird if I don't have one. Yeah. And not only that, but it's not only for me and my family, but you hear of, the few and far between instances where there's some person who means bad things with a firearm. Well, I'm a pretty good shot. I could probably stop that, if I'm in the right place at the right time. But if I don't have a gun on me, I'm useless. I'm just cowering like everyone else. Yeah. I can't use that skill that I've developed over my lifetime to be able to make that shot.
Yeah, that's almost like a departure from what we're talking about, right? That's just the type of person you are and being prepared and ready for that season, right? You think that's related to your training, or you think that's related to just your personality?
I don't know. I think the training has refined it. I think the job has refined it. But even if I don't have a career in law enforcement, I think that it's the same mentality exists of like, my first priority is to get my family out of there and get them out safely. But how could I just drive off knowing that there are others
there's something bad
in
going
danger?
On. Yeah.
And our, at least in Missouri, and I think it's nationwide, is the standard is you have to be to use lethal force is to be in fear of your life or someone else's, or serious physical injury for you or someone else. Yeah. Which that's a pretty low bar to jump over, really. Yeah. Legally. Yeah. There's all sorts of other factors, but that's the legal precedent that's been set is death or serious physical injury. Right. And that's really not defined. I mean, losing an eye is a serious physical injury. Taking a bullet through the arm to where you're gonna be just fine, but you may have limited use of that arm for the rest of your life. That's a serious physical injury. Yeah. So the bar is pretty low for use of deadly force.
Yeah. I'm just reminded about, I don't know, it's an affirmation of this conversation. You had sent me a link to a guy talking about readiness and how we should be ready to protect our family, but then also the greater public good. The guy kind of chronicled his experience with a active shooter situation in a mall. You remember this? He
maybe, I don't know.
He ensured that he got his family out and got to the car and got them in the car, and then because he was skilled and trained in these things, he's like, I'll be back in a few minutes. and it was like, you showed me that video and I got a chance to follow up with you later. And there's this look that you get. It's like a sheepdog approach to not on my watch, which I appreciate.
And I don't want to make it sound like I'm better than anybody else, or that if somebody decided not to go back in and fight against the evil, certainly, that they're doing the wrong thing, because each person has to make that decision. Yep. But I have game planned and mental rep that so many times everywhere we've been. I don't know how I could live with myself, just knowing like I got my family out, and then we went home.
Yeah.
And then we saw about on the news later that a bunch of people died.
Yeah.
That's not a scenario I want to find myself in.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate having you in my life for that reason, right? I mean, I think that's the type of spirit that makes America better and makes America
I think
great.
that's a common thing with guys in our age group and our geographical region, at least. I can't speak to the rest of America.
Sure.
I have too many kids to travel. So,
well, can I encourage you with that though? Did you know that, and again, I need to go back and rework the statistics, but like the latest census revealed that the majority of people in America live in small towns, less than 2,000 people.
I remember you said that on one of the podcast episodes.
Yeah. That's why I say I'd have to go back and find the actual statistics. But I mean, you talk about this minority like feeling that you think you've got, at least around here, right? And the reality is the small town perspective, this mentality that you're carrying that's so identifiable with in the people in our community is exactly like it is in small town Florida, small town California, what I mean? Hashtag liberal states or whatever.
And
like
it's the guys I'm referring to that would do this. The guys in my circle right now, I work with law enforcement, but my friend group and my personal acquaintances I don't think any of them are in law enforcement.
Really?
Well, I take that back. There may be a handful that are affiliated with law enforcement in some way.
Sure.
But I'm not friends with them because of that.
Right.
We just happen to be friends for other reasons. But yeah, it doesn't matter if they're a factory worker or a farmer.
Yeah.
Or, they check water meters. Like, who cares? They have the same mentality.
Yeah.
And you can just tell.
Yeah.
There's a group of guys that I hang around that some of them just have it. Like, you're like, I know you got my back.
Yeah.
And if, like, not only for lethal scenarios, but if our power went out, I can go to their house. Yep. If we've got a water line that breaks, they're going to come help.
Yeah.
And then in that once in a lifetime scenario where there's someone doing evil, I know, like, I can count on them. And many of them I have shot with at some point or another. So I at least know, like, they can get close to the target. So awesome. They're at least going to be pointed in the right direction, which is encouraging.
It is encouraging.
Because you just can't know that until you see it.
Yeah. Well, another kind of peripheral way of approaching this is, one of your friends is one of my friends, and I was looking to buy this person a Christmas gift this year, and it was a tourniquet, right? And your response was, and I think it speaks to this person who doesn't have a law enforcement job who needs a tourniquet because he wants one for the readiness piece. Your response was, well, if you're going to carry something to put a hole in somebody, you might as well carry something that can stop the bleeding when you do. Then you walk me through the two recommendations or whatever that you had.
And when he opened that gift, he knew exactly what it was. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you didn't have to explain that's what it was. He knew
couldn't
because
wait to try it out.
That's the kind of guy he is.
That's right. So, anyway, I thought that was awesome. All right, let's stay on the parenting bit for a while because something I'm trying to do with this podcast, and I've been unsuccessful personally. I think in application it's been okay, but I started this because I wanted to help people kind of see the depth and breadth and knowledge that is available right here in our community. We have people who know things, who've been through awesome scenarios and whatnot. And their experience makes them an authority in certain areas. And I want the people in my life who are listening to this platform to come and be, one, entertained, but educated, informed, and then able to kind of apply something unique to their lives moving on, right? Like I want to talk, And I'm like approaching this with the spirit of service to like it's the world, but ultimately like it starts in my own home. You know, it starts the people in my community, in my church, in my 2,000 people that's like in this little nucleus of folks, right? Like I want good things for the world, but I really want good things for the kids that are going to school with my kids, you know, for this place that I dwell in to be awesome. So, you know, here you're clearly engaged with your family. You're clearly engaged with your community, upright in all respects that I can tell, right? So like what advice would you give parents for raising kids in today's world? You know, how can they raise capable, confident kids, you know, like what you're trying to accomplish with your own?
I think like I said, don't parent out of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Know what the risks are that your kids are going to be facing. And sometimes we're out of touch with that. I mean, my kids aren't facing that yet. They're not old enough to really be out on their own or, you know, they're pretty much with us 24/7 just because they're young.
Sure.
But as they age, they will have more freedom and they will have more time away from us. Whether that's, you know, at church events or at a friends group or at birthday parties. So we don't want to parent out of fear, but we want them to just be aware of, you know, what to do in certain scenarios or be aware of your surroundings, that kind of thing. What's the baseline for where you're going? What's a baseball game normally look like? And what's a spectator at a baseball game normally going to say to you? And then anything outside of that, maybe ask some questions or come find your parents. But generally, people are harmless, even if they make weird comments.
Yeah, generally.
Right. But it's not wrong to be skeptical if you hear something outside that baseline.
Right. So how can you teach respect for authority around the law enforcement community while still encouraging kind of critical thinking and whatnot as well?
There's a time to ask questions and be critical. And I mean, I have those same questions. Sometimes you see these videos, you see the body cams of stuff that's happened and you're like, well, I have some questions. You know, what happened here? Was this all, are we being given all the information? Did it really happen like it appears like it happened? And sometimes you're like, yeah, this looks bad. But the time to ask questions is, you know, maybe following something like that. But the time to ask questions is not when you've just been pulled over or to buck authority. Generally, it doesn't go well if you think that you're going to argue or try to outsmart whatever officer from whatever agency has just pulled you over. The time to do that is not on the side of the road. I mean, if you're looking for change in a department, you're not going to get that from the officer on the side of the road. And if you're looking for a policy change, you're not going to get that then. If you think that what they've done is, or, you know, the reason you've been pulled over is not legitimate, there's a way to say that most people don't use. I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of people that just want to argue for the sake of arguing.
Like you said, they had a bad day or whatever.
And that's, yeah. And so from the other side, you have to kind of step back and say, why are they having a bad day? Is it because they just got pulled over, or is there something else going on that, you know, everybody's going through something to add stress, whether it's your job or your family. There's all sorts of things that can cause stress. So nobody likes to be pulled over. Nobody likes to be told they were doing something wrong. So if you realize that and just kind of take a step back and think about that, then it adds a lot of perspective.
So keeping with the perspective line, like what would you say to somebody who feels skeptical or critical of law enforcement, and I'll couch this under maybe the umbrella of a couple of questions. Like, what would you say to somebody who's skeptical or feels critical? What do you wish the public understood about law enforcement officers? What does community trust look like? I mean, there's lots of different questions, but
yeah, there's a lot of stuff for me to forget to answer there.
Let's just start with what would you say to somebody who feels skeptical or critical of law enforcement? There's a lot of that in our world right now.
Yeah, I guess my first question would be, is this based upon your own experience or someone else's experience?
Yeah. You're suggesting that this is...
Are you being critical or have a disdain for law enforcement because of something that happened to you? Or because of something you've been told has happened to someone else?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a valid question.
Yeah. Yeah, the exception or the rule is a good way of looking at it, right? Like,
right, and there are people that have had negative experiences with law enforcement. I would be stupid to say that no one ever has a negative experience. I mean, it's the same with any profession. I mean, we've all had good and bad teachers. We've all had good and bad doctors.
Right.
We've all experienced a great law enforcement officer at some point, probably, whether that was enforcement or not. But sometimes you just contact somebody and it's not related to them doing something wrong.
Right.
But we've all heard or experienced the bad side of that too. There are officers that make poor decisions for whatever reason, whether it's something they do continually or maybe they were having a bad day just like someone else and just, couldn't control it for a second. I mean, it's...
You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater because of
Right. So I guess the one thing that bothers me is when I see people say that they don't want officers to judge a population based upon one person's actions, and then, ironically, turn around and judge the whole law enforcement community based upon one officer's actions.
That's a catch-22, isn't it?
It's almost like they just don't see the fault in that logic. How can you walk up to me and say, "Oh, you're in law enforcement. Well, then you must fill in the blank," or they already have their preconceived notions. But yet, when an officer does that, it's called profiling, and that's wrong.
Yeah. Did you see? I don't know if we hear this or not, but did you see it was one of the things that happened up in Minnesota. The protesters were there because the law enforcement officers were enforcing border crossings that were illegal. And so the community near where the protests were happening set up a barricade to keep people out of the community that they were in, and then actually went so far as to have people going around and asking questions and escorting people outside of the area if they weren't there for a reason.
What style of government does that remind you of?
You tell me.
We'll just leave that an open-ended question.
Well, I think that's how I interpreted your answer, right? I mean, it's a double standard. So, I'm not a super political guy. I see the impact of your words in that scenario, right? And realizing that we are enforcing the law here too. And there are people who've had bad experiences with law enforcement officers, but by and large, maybe it's a privilege thing. I'm not sure, but I've generally speaking always had pretty good engagements with law enforcement.
I will say around here in our region, I think we have it. I think law enforcement as a whole has it better or more public support than some other areas in the country. It's easier to be part of a community in rural America and for them to see you as not just another law enforcement officer. And so it works both ways, but I think we have pretty good support here as a general rule.
So what does community trust then look like? You know, if it's not there and it's here, what is it? Like if we were to try to define it.
I don't I don't know how to define it. And I'm sure that there's people that have some sort of distrust, or at least a percentage of distrust. And that's fine. Ask questions, ask the hard questions, and be skeptical sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, the officers I know around here from all the agencies that we work with are going to be the ones that are part of. They're not just going to be the ones to rush into the burning building. They're not just going to be the ones to write you a speed ticket. They're coaching softball, and they're part of the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that goes a long way with the public perception of they don't just see you as the officer. They just know kind of the way that I want to be known is that's what I do. That's not who I am.
You're right.
And so it makes it easier in the small towns where people know you to be seen as a person instead of some sort of law enforcement affiliation. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, is that how you see your role in the community like that?
I think, yeah. The longer we're here, and the more roots we put down here, the easier it becomes to be involved in the community and to try to have a positive input, a net positive for our little portion of the world. But I think a role that I like to lean into is kind of that bridge between someone who doesn't really know anything about law enforcement and law enforcement. I try to be open about what we do, and I try not to pick sides without all the information. I try not to just blindly be positive, just be pro law enforcement no matter what they've done, because there are times they make mistakes.
Well, yeah, and in that,
and inevitably people are going to ask me about that.
Yeah,
and I can't. It would be irresponsible for me to just always pick the side of law enforcement if they've obviously done something wrong.
Right.
So I think being that bridge of like, hey, or maybe somebody doesn't understand. Hey, why do cops do this? Why do detectives ask these questions? And just be able to explain to them like a real person, because I don't use, tactical speak.
Yeah.
Like we said, just to use plain language and say, this is why we do what we do. This is why they ask these questions. This is, the outcome that they're looking for. And if you can explain it, a lot of people are like, oh, I never thought of that. Like that. And it makes perfect sense. Yeah. And so now it doesn't seem strange, or, I don't have to be so skeptical of why they're acting that way.
Well, it's a hard job, and I'm thankful that you're doing it. It makes sense that you're doing it now that I've gotten to know you, over the many years that we've known one another. You're not like the type of guy that shies away from hard things. And a bit of a departure from our topic up to this point, but like when you kind of like embrace hard things, you kind of look for them. I talk about type 2 fun all the time, and you kind of go after that as well. I mean, you're kind of active in competitive target shooting. You've taken a whole new lifestyle of hobby farming, which is not easy. You, in your hunting expedition with Brett, and I know you've done it with others, but I mean, like, what you guys go out and do looks more like work than fun, and you appear to be drawn to those types of things in your life, like I don't know why do you like that? Like, why do you do those hard things? Like what about that means something to you?
I think the first time that I really did something hard like that, like the type 2 fun that you're talking about, was...
Can I review type 1, 2, and 3 fun?
Yeah.
So type 1 fun, for those of you who haven't heard this so far, I'm considering a episode on 1, 2, and 3 fun. Type 1 fun it's fun to do and fun to talk about doing. So I enjoy water skiing or, going to a movie. It's fun to go, fun to sit there and watch the show and then really enjoy it. Type 2 fun is fun that is generally not that much fun to do when you're doing it. But afterwards, you have great stories and you're glad you did it. You feel accomplished and it's really fun to talk about. Type 3 fun is like type 2 fun, but we don't want to talk about these things. So you kind of go type 2 is your default.
I've learned to appreciate it for what it is.
Mm-hmm. What is it?
So the first time that I went on an elk hunt, I think was 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And I went because I've always wanted to go on an elk hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up hunting here in Missouri. Everything that you could buy a tag for, I've done it. And there's just that allure to go out in the mountains and try to find elk and be out there. And in your mind, it's pretty, and there's hiking trails, and there's, and the weather's beautiful.
It's
and
Instagram.
and the trees are changing, and the aspens are yellow, and and the elk are just bugling. I mean, you walk right up to them. But had I known how hard it was going to be, I'm not sure I would have gone. But once you're there, the only way out is to keep going.
Yeah.
When you're 3 miles from your camp and it's starting to get dark and it's snowing and you're cold and hungry, I don't know. I never could think of another option other than just walking back to camp.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got something better, I'm open to it, but
no, there's not.
So there was no other option but just to keep going. And then during that trip, I think both of us, the other guy that I went with, we were both like, what have we got ourselves into? And why would anyone ever want to do this? And now that we've checked this off the list, I think we're good. But 2 days later, when you get home, you're already planning your next trip.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah.
But it was so hard, but so rewarding. And the level of hard almost makes everything else seem easier. It's like you've set a new baseline.
Yep.
I know what I can accomplish mentally and physically. And everything up to and including that is no longer difficult.
That's an excellent way of capturing that. I would question, because I want to talk about it more, but I would question everything leading up to and that even after is no longer difficult. Is it difficult the right word, or is it possible? You realize it's possible. And so because it's possible, that makes it less difficult?
That
or
first
what?
elk hunt I went on was easily not the hardest elk hunt I went on.
Really?
Oh, I thought it was hard. And then I went back.
And it was harder.
And you realize, oh, this can get worse. And when I was with Brett I think it was 23.
Yeah.
And we were packing out that elk 7 miles to his truck, I convinced myself, like, I'm retiring from elk hunting. I've been going at that point. That was my 8th year.
Really? I didn't realize you'd gone that much.
And I'm like, I've done it. I've seen it. I've brought home elk meat. I'm retiring from elk hunting. This hurts. This is no longer fun.
Yeah.
30 days later, I was back in Colorado with another guy, and we both brought home elk on that trip.
That's awesome.
I don't know how to explain that to someone who's never done it. And it's not just elk hunting. There are things you can do that are difficult or hard or challenging.
Yeah.
Whatever adjective you want to use. But I think the feeling for most, I guess most guys, I don't know, I can't speak to everybody in the population, but the guys in that age range, the 20s to the 50s, to where you're always, I don't know if it's just how we're wired, but it feels like you're searching for an adventure.
Yeah.
And when you have that adventure, no matter how difficult it was or how close you came to dying,
It's life-giving.
you're like, that was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't ever want to do that again. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule one.
Yeah. Or I won't do it exactly the same way, but I'll do something that's similar.
You always learn from your mistakes. And I'm not trying to make the trips harder. I think that would be irresponsible.
Right.
But you learn tactics, and you learn what equipment is important, and you learn how far you can push yourself without injuring or breaking. So then the next time, okay, I probably need to take it a little easier on day 3.
Yeah.
Or I need to eat some more calories on day 5, because by then you're starting to get a little hangry. So in some ways it gets easier, but there are trips where everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
And you find yourself at 10 p.m. when you expected to be in a nice warm tent with a stove roaring on the side of a mountain. You find yourself stuck sideways in a 2-track on the side of a mountain with sheer cliffs on both sides. And your rear differential is high centered to where you can't move. And it's raining and snowing. And there's not a soul for
miles,
probably 20 miles to the nearest town.
Yeah.
So you take a minute to have your little pity party, and then you break out the shovels.
Yeah. Fail forward.
And you say, the only way we're getting off this mountain is if we do it ourselves. There's no one coming to save us.
Yeah.
And if we stay here, we're going to be worse off in the morning than we are right now. So let's get to it.
Yeah.
And coming out of that trip, the sense of accomplishment was so high that you just feel like you can conquer anything. Like the mountain couldn't take us.
Yeah.
And we're going to go back, and we're going to learn from what we did, and we're going to have a better time next time. And we're probably not going to use that same road.
Yeah. It'd be better next time for this reason, and we'll find some new adventure next time.
Yes.
Stuart Olinger, one of my dear friends, and kind of famous on the podcast. We've done the MR 340, and he's coined a term, suffering with adventure. Like he pursues suffering in his adventure, like the mental disciplines of training your body and your mind, and sounds very similar to your approach.
On a small scale, we went with our church group last fall on the float trip. The father-kid float trip, I think, is maybe what they called it. And I took my 2 oldest daughters. The first day, beautiful weather. I mean, we had a blast. We built a campfire. We sat outside till the late hours because the weather was beautiful. There was no breeze. And then the next morning, when we were getting ready to start the float trip, it started raining, and the temperature dropped pretty quickly, and the wind picked up, and there were so many of us that they couldn't get us all to launch at the same time. So they had to drop us off at the boat ramp and go back and get the second half of our group. So we were standing at the boat ramp in the rain and wind, and really no cover. I mean, we're at a boat ramp in southern Missouri. Waiting for maybe, it was probably about an hour by the time they went back and got them and loaded everything and came back and dropped them off. And we had limited rain gear, the cheap poncho from Walmart for the kids. I had a raincoat that I've worn before, and it's maybe losing some of its coating, so it wasn't quite waterproof, but
water resistant, I think, is what they use.
Yeah, but in a downpour, I got wet.
Yeah.
And you look at my 2 girls, and they're sopping wet. Their hats are bending down over their eyes and the water's dripping off the brim of their hat, and their knees are shaking because they're freezing. And they just, you could tell like they're not having fun.
Yeah.
They want to quit. They would rather say, take me back to camp. Let's pack up and go home and, you know, have a hot meal on the way. We're no longer enjoying this. And then we get out on the water and the rain stops and the sun comes out and we're paddling for the next 4 or 6 hours. And when we get back, that trip was so much more, it had so much more meaning to them. They talk about it all the time.
It's an accomplishment.
They talk about the water dripping into the tent because the cheap tent that I brought, we weren't expecting rain.
Right.
The cheap tent that I brought had a leak. And there was a thunderstorm and the wind was blowing, so our tent was shaking. And at the time, they were scared. But looking back, they didn't get hurt. Dad protected them. It was just a thunderstorm.
Yep.
And so now their baseline is different. They're like, we can...
This was easy.
Yeah.
You remember that time when...
Do you remember when we thought we were cold? And turns out we survived just fine. So now when they're outside and the wind starts picking up and they're playing and they're like, oh, I'm kind of cold. I'm like, no, you've been cold before and this isn't it. And they remember.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I have been tough and I can do it again.
Yeah.
And I love seeing that click in their brains.
Yeah.
Even though that was a small scale, they're set up to continue that process.
I love that. Yeah. You know, I've really enjoyed climbing 14er mountains. And, you know, as a guy who rides a desk most of the time, you go out and you hike, and every year you kind of meet yourself on the side of the mountain. You say, is this the time when I give up? Is this the time that I'm going to quit? And nope, not today, Satan, right? Like this isn't it. And the next year you're better off as a result. So I love that. Let's talk about you learned there that's not when you're cold, that's hard thing, right? But you're also kind of doing some self-reliant stuff at home. You raise pigs and chickens. What inspired that lifestyle? You know, sometimes, some cases, I think from the outside looking in, you see all of the kids and you see the thing that we're talking about, right? You see kind of how you're geared and you're like, why would you choose to put pigs and chickens on top of everything else that's going on? You know, like what are your kids learning from all this? What are you learning? What are you teaching them? Like what's just talk about that a little bit.
Well, I'm not going to act like pigs and chickens are that hard. They both require little input, fresh water,
tasty output,
fresh water, and a full thing of food every couple days, and they pretty much take care of themselves.
Yeah.
The chickens, we have to worry about predators, but once the pigs were big enough, there was nothing going to mess with them.
Right.
But I think we got started because we want to be less reliant on supply chains and grocery stores, and not only reliant on them, but we also don't know what's in that meat. The things you do know that's in that meat, I'm not excited about. And the other stuff that you don't know is maybe what I'm even less excited about. So we have, we get eggs every day. We have a freezer full of pork, and I know exactly how those animals were treated, and I know exactly where they were raised, and I know that none of them have had any medication, and none of that got passed into their meat that we're now eating.
So it's organic.
I wouldn't be certified organic because the feed we're giving them is not organic feed. But we are supporting local feed stores with our endeavors as well. Now, we would be interested in making the switch to organic feed. There's an added cost to that, and then maybe added logistics and trying to source that.
Sure.
We're still in the infant phases of our self-reliance homestead. Planning to ramp those up.
Yep.
More chickens, more pigs, maybe add a different source of meat, sheep, something like that.
Do you heat with wood also?
We use wood as a supplement.
Okay.
So when it's really cold, or actually we love heating with wood. Anytime that it makes sense on the timeline to fire up the wood stove. Because if you're just going to be there for an evening, and then everybody's going to be doing something else the next day, and the fire's going to go out, then it doesn't really make sense to start one.
Right.
But there have been a couple times where I had a week off, or we had an extended weekend or something, and we'll keep that thing roaring the whole time, and it saved us hundreds of dollars on our electric bill. But also the heat you get is different. It's so much more cozy than a furnace blowing heat at you. This thing is, the surface of it gets 600 or 700 degrees.
Yeah.
And the kids will grab a book and they'll curl up right next to it. And
that's awesome.
They'll just sit there looking out the window at the cold and reading their book. And then as the stove heats up, they have to kind of scoot away because they start sweating. But no, they love it. They're like, you wake up in the morning, and if I'm not at work, they're like, Dad, are you starting a fire today?
Yeah.
And because they want to help. They want to split the kindling, and they want to stuff the newspaper between it, and they want to pull the younger ones can't quite pull the trigger on the
clicker
on the lighter yet, but man, they love it.
That's awesome.
It's the resiliency. It's the self-reliance. If the power goes out, we're going to be just fine. Yeah. We can heat our whole house with this one wood stove.
Yeah. And is that, when we talk about some of the ways to combat the job, and, you have other things going on, right? You're teaching hard things and whatnot. Is it work or is it therapy? Like, I don't
It's not a job. So I think it's therapy.
Yeah.
I enjoy cutting
wood. Rest. It's work, but it's rest.
And not only I would cut wood by myself, but generally you can find someone to go with you.
Yeah.
And that makes it even more fun.
Yeah.
You can go to a friend's house and cut some of their timber, and that, they wanted to get rid of some logs, or they need some firewood too. And we'll cut for a few hours, and then we'll split the firewood, or I'll go up to Maysville and cut with my dad. And that's a good way for us to
hang out,
have some good man bonding time.
Yep.
We've been doing that for years, and he has a small wood stove that it kind of like us, they just supplement, wood heat with it. So we both keep a supply of firewood for the winter and do it all again the next year.
That's awesome.
I think it's fun.
That's awesome.
I did recently switch from splitting with an axe to splitting with a splitter, though, because I realized you don't have to always work hard.
Right.
You can work smart too.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go one more left turn, right? Then I'll thank you for coming, but let's talk about Upright Media. You've started your own drone flying business, right? Like, what would you call it? Is it a media company?
Yeah.
Is it?
I would say it's digital media, basically. So photos, videos.
And of all the else that you've got going on, right? Like you've somehow or another found a way to scratch another type of itch that you've had with this Upright company. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what you're trying to accomplish there?
Well, I've always wanted a drone. Who doesn't?
It's because it's fun.
Because they're fun to fly, and it's just a cool thing to have, to be able to see the world from a whole different perspective. Every time, maybe not everybody's like this, but when you see a billboard with a aerial photo, or you see a video on social media of something flying over the trees or flying over a pretty lake, I pause on those at least, and they're like, that looks
That's
pretty
awesome.
cool. That looks pretty cool. And a lot of stuff can look good from the ground, but I think so few people get to see it from the air that's what makes it look better, is because you're just not used to it. So immediately you're drawn to it because it's a different perspective. So I always wanted one just to have, but we're in a position where frivolous spending is not really part of our game plan.
Right.
Everything kind of has to have a purpose. We'll buy pigs because that will feed us.
Yeah.
We'll buy a wood stove because that will keep us warm in the winter.
Yeah. And ultimately it winds up paying for itself. So
yeah. We'll buy a drone because, oh wait, that's maybe not. So the way that I justified it was, if I'm going to get a drone, I'm going to have to find a way to make money at it. And I didn't want to be kind of a fly by night type thing.
Pun intended.
And do it, yeah, and do it all, I wanted it to be above board. I want it to be an actual business. I'm tracking my expenses and my purchases and my income for tax purposes because I don't want to get jammed up in that either.
Yeah.
And I try to do it as well as I can. So I bought the domain name. I started social media, even though I'm not a big fan of social media. And I registered as an LLC. I actually have a friend that's a lawyer, and he gave me some advice on kind of how to do all this stuff to keep it legitimate. And in doing that, I'm not afraid to market myself because I am licensed and I am insured. And when people ask those questions, I don't have to say, well, I'm going to get my license someday. No, everything was good from the time I launched. I didn't launch the business until it was ready to go.
Yeah.
But that's how I justified the cost is that, hey, I'm going to start this at the beginning of 2025. And by the end of 25, 12 months later, I want to at least have paid off the drone.
Okay.
That was my business goal, was just, hey, let's not lose money this year. I realize it's not with everything else that I have my hand into, I can't make it a full-time thing. But I wanted to at least pay off the drone.
So it is now 2026. Did you accomplish your goal?
I did much better than I expected.
Really?
I had kind of started slow, which I'm realizing now, maybe January and February is not the best time for
to start a business.
Digital media. Nothing really looks that pretty, and the real estate market's pretty low, or not as good as it is in spring and summer. And that's been the majority of my income from last year was real estate. I quickly learned that most agents don't just want drone photos. They actually want somebody that will do everything. They want photos and videos and interior shots of the house. So I had to do some quick study on how to make myself available for regular real estate photography. So that's kind of what that business has morphed into, is typically now my calls are for real estate related
photography.
Photography, both inside, outside, and drone stuff.
You fly the drone inside?
I have in certain buildings, like you'll get like a warehouse or something that looks really cool you can fly through it. But in somebody's basement with 8-foot ceilings, I'm not going to fly my drone through it. There are people that have found a niche for that with a certain type of drone to fly through a house, and it makes a cool video. I can do the same thing with the camera I have. I just don't fly it. I just hold it on a gimbal. So the product appears similar, just a different way of accomplishing the same thing. But the drone thing has become more of a add-on to the real estate media. So that's kind of what the business has morphed into. But I realize that's what's going to pay off the drone and the equipment.
Do you see the correlation between doing hard things here, less physical and more mental? You feel like it's a same challenge and a different approach?
Yeah. So everything in me does not want to put myself on social media or call people that I don't know and ask them if they have any listings that I can shoot for them.
The introvert rises again.
It is difficult for me to do that. And I don't know how to explain that to people that find it normal or everyday. But yeah, it's difficult for me to do that. Marketing is one of the hardest things. I don't like to talk about myself that much.
Ironic, considering we've talked about you're probably going to be exhausted when you go home.
Yeah, I'm going to need a nap. But
it's almost over. Relax.
No, but to that point, when you first launched this a year or so ago, maybe more.
It was December 7th, 2024. So yeah,
I was not at all interested in talking about myself. I was worried that you were going to ask me to be on here.
Here we are.
And I don't know, maybe Upright Media has helped me with that a little bit. Made me a little more well-rounded, even though I still heavily lean to I'll just leave you alone and you leave me alone.
Yep.
But, to have any business at all, you have to do some sort of marketing.
It's true.
And I've found a few good customers that have been repeat customers, and at this point, I'm content if those are the only ones that call me.
Right.
They just keep calling me, and I don't really need to do that much marketing.
Yep.
And I get to post a pretty picture on Facebook every now and then.
Yep.
To fly for my own enjoyment, to see my house from the air. And my wife used a photo of our garden last year to plan the garden this year.
Oh, really?
An aerial photo of the garden that she thought was pretty cool. And she's like, oh, so this is where I put the onions last year, but I'm thinking about putting the onions over here. And you could see the paths that she was walking. And so it has some uses, but we'll see where it goes.
That's
I'd
awesome.
eventually like to upgrade equipment and get into some nicer stuff. But for
Kinda
now,
typical progression of things, right?
yeah. And because I did everything the right way, any time I upgrade my drone is a tax write-off.
Oh, very good.
So it's considered an asset.
That's awesome.
I imagine that, an expensive enough drone would be depreciable.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. You could write off cars and all kinds of stuff. It's a great game.
As long as you're doing it the right way, I
Yeah.
would say go for it.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly okay with paying my fair share, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, leave money on the table either.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Just in reflection, what's all of this that we've talked about today, these experiences, your type 2 fun, media company, homesteading, life in the patrol? What's this taught you about yourself?
I think it just, the kind of the joke with my wife and I is that I'm stuck in a rut. I know what I like, and that's what I like.
Mm-hmm.
And I've realized I don't really need to change.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, I haven't changed a lot since high school, which I'd say was probably the time when you kind of, okay, this is who I'm going to be.
Mhm.
There's a lot of changing in elementary and middle school, and
Kind of settle into
you
yourself.
just kind of try to find your role and what makes you tick.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't change. I really haven't changed that much. I don't think the people I graduated high school with would be shocked at where I'm at right now.
Where do you see yourself going? What's next for you in these type 2 adventure?
So main goal right now is raise these kids, raise them to be normal functioning members of society to whatever role that leads them. We're going to encourage them in whatever they want to do. And try to help them as much as we can, whether that's financially or whatever, but, to try to get them set up to be productive members of society.
Yeah.
That's goal. That's
Number
like, that is over. Everything is seen through that filter right now. It seems like everything we do, every dollar we spend, has that purpose. It seems like, I don't know what's in store for me. I think I'll keep flying drones. I'll keep working investigations. I'll try to get better at both.
Yeah.
There's always room for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
We'll try to continue increasing our self-reliance at home. Every time you gain a step in that, it's a breath of relief of like, I'm no longer dependent on Walmart having eggs, and I'm no longer dependent on United Electric keeping my power on to keep my family warm in February. To be fully self-reliant would be the ultimate goal. I don't know, with our limited funding and everything else we're trying to accomplish, I don't know how quickly that's going to come. But as the kids get older, they will be helping with some of that, whether they want to or not.
That's right.
I have to put them to work too. So.
These are core memories, man. These are core memories. They're going to be better for it.
And I shouldn't put it like that because they love doing it. The girls love the chickens. When we first got them, the oldest girl would go out and do her math homework or homeschool homework in the chicken coop and just sit there with the chickens
doing her homework
because she just loved them and they loved her. and they've become pets, but they've also become a source of protein every day. And I don't know. There's benefits both ways.
Sure. Oh yeah. It's a unique way of interacting.
And
with
the boys, you can't keep them out of what you're doing. They want to be a part of it. They want to help, whether it's just holding a screw, like, here, hold this, and in 2 minutes, I'm going to need that screw back, so don't lose it.
Yeah.
And they take that job so seriously.
So seriously, yep.
And they want to go get tools, and they have their own tool bags that they carry. They have a screwdriver and a little handsaw and a little hammer, and they're always looking for, what can I fix? How can I help Dad? And sometimes it's more of a burden to include them on something that might take,
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's going to take 20 if I explain to them and also have them hold things and drop things.
Yeah.
But
I used to have a saying, this should take me an hour, but I've got 3 helpers, so it's going to take me 2 hours.
But I would have it no other way.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're interested, and I don't want to ever squash that in them. I want them to continue having the interest and being inquisitive and wanting to know how things work, even if that involves taking things apart from time to time.
Right.
That I wish they wouldn't take apart.
Right. Right. Well, thank you for coming today. I'll leave you with one final opportunity. Anything you want to share with our listeners before we go?
I feel like I've overshared already.
Well, I can definitely say that some of my favorite feedback will be coming in this episode, because I think the best thing that somebody can tell me is, I knew Matt, but I didn't know that about Matt. So
let's end, if it's okay with you, let's end with a cop story.
Okay. Yeah.
Everybody likes a good story.
Everybody does. Yeah.
So it was probably 2015. I was still on the road. And there was a foot pursuit outside of St. Joe. It was in Buchanan County somewhere. And here's a fun fact. I have never lost a foot pursuit.
Oh. You and Jesse need to race, because he's never lost one either.
Now, you can run in your car, and most of the time you get caught. But every now and then I've had one get away for whatever reason. But I've never had somebody bail out of their car and take off running that I didn't catch. So that's kind of a proud moment for me. But sometime in 2015, it was summer. It was hot outside. Some guy takes off running from another trooper, and I just happened to be a couple miles away. So I pull in. I see his car with his door open because he's now looking for this guy. There's it's a rural area, but it's a rural subdivision. So there's a bunch of houses on this road that's off of a main highway. And they're nice houses, and some of them have fences in the back, but they're all those low, like picket fence style, real pretty. They overlook a valley with a cornfield in it, and a river bottom.
Just picturesque.
Beautiful place. But they've got some clown running through their backyards trying to get away from the troopers. And so I see him, and I kind of take an angle, like football teaches you.
Yeah.
Take an angle to cut this guy off. And I hurdle a couple of the fences, which boost your self-esteem, because I realize they're only like 3-foot fences, but still hurdling them makes you feel pretty cool. And this guy, I was slowly gaining on him, but I feel myself kind of wearing out, and I'm wearing 20 pounds of gear because I got my vest and my belt and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know how long I'm going to keep running like this without hurting something. So I yell, "Taser, taser." And the guy stops and puts his hands up and says, "Don't tase me." And so I tackle the guy and get him in handcuffs, and we're picking him up. And I said, well, that worked better than I thought, because I don't even have a taser. You see people that run and they get tased, and they don't like that for some reason.
No, they don't.
And at the time, none of the troopers had tasers. That was before we got them. Now I think most of them do. But that was kind of a funny story that I got somebody to give up just by yelling taser.
There's so many ways that could be applied to life.
I tricked them, but I didn't feel bad about myself at all.
No, that's awesome. And your foot pursuit statistic is unbroken.
And
Because
with
technically
my
not
current
lost.
with my current position, I'm unlikely to be in a foot pursuit. So I may go the rest of my career.
Hey man, go out on top, retire, win the Super Bowl, and retire. Like that's the way to do it.
I would like to hopefully not ever be in one for a lot of reasons, but mainly just so I can keep that streak.
Keep it alive.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Well, Matt, thank you. I've learned a lot about you. Thankful to have you in the role that you're in our community, the way you serve your family, the way you serve our citizens, right, of this city and town and the state. I mean, like it's good to know you and good to learn more about you and the way you take your job seriously. I don't have anything else. So with that, we'll leave everybody to it. All right, everybody. This has been the Son of the Law podcast. Have a great day.